We'll give a few minutes for folks to trickle in. Okay, so what we got. Good morning, Brock. So yesterday I was doing some live streams, shorter videos than normal of different aspects of my life, and I have made contact with my older sister, Sarah. I'm not going to say her last name, and I hope she forgives me if I accidentally say her last name. It will not be on purpose. If she chooses to give her last name, that's on her. I do pray that she forgives me if I accidentally do it. But I shouldn't do it. I'm pretty sure I will not do that. Anyway, that said, me and Sarah have talked, and she has agreed to come on here and have a conversation about our childhood, basically. Hey, Resto. And she started to talk about things on the phone, and I said, stop. Hold on. Let's not do that. I said, let's keep it 100 and real. Let's not discuss any of it prior to the phone call, prior to the live broadcast, okay? Because I want it to be 100% real. I want it to be the truth, honest truth, from both perspectives, both sides of what happened in our childhood, okay? And this is something that has to be put out there, because as a minister, as the founder of a ministry, pastor, whatever you want to call me, this is all stuff that is, I put it out there on Front Street to begin with. And because I knew, well, actually, that's not why I did it, because I did that. I started putting it on Front Street 12 years ago. But I left it on Front Street even as this ministry became a full-fledged ministry. And the reason I left it there, like, I kept wanting to delete a lot of stuff, and it was like, no. The reason I left it there is because it is a part of my past. My calling is to put everything out there, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the in-between. Unfortunately, my childhood from 0 to 18 was, 99% negative. Unfortunately. That's just the way it was. So anyway, you know what? I'm just gonna, y'all know, for the most part, the most of you know by now that have been here a while, have watched, have listened to me. You know my motives. You know they're pure. And you know that the reason I do this is to help others that are going through similar situations. No matter what their situation is. No matter if it's abuse as a child, abuse as an adult, no matter if it's suicidal ideations, whatever it is, even homicidal ideations. If they're going through homicidal ideations, I want to be there for them because I've been there myself. I know how it is. Praise the Lord, I've been delivered, set free from all of those chains that had me shackled and bound for so many years. That all said, I'm going to make the call, and my sister is going to be live on air with us. Unfortunately, I don't believe that I was able to do, like, I have the option to do a split screen, but I didn't even discuss it with my sister for a couple of reasons. But one reason alone is I don't think that she would have been able to join the split screen with me, given that she's never put any videos that I know of on her YouTube channel, so on and so forth. So we're gonna do it this way, and I'll turn this fan off so that don't interfere with the vocals. And here we go. We can give her a call. Let me turn the music here down. Hello. Hey. Okay. Give me just a moment here. Let me go over here and silence everything. Okay. To start with, I I did not give your last name on here. If I don't know if you was watching the first few minutes here of this video or whatever. If you want to give your last name, that's completely up to you. But it is not my place to give your last name. Aside from the last name, though, unless you feel comfortable giving it, would you state for me who I have on the line?
Sarah, your sister.
We're not going to, and I'm going to try to just relax here. I'm going to get kind of in a comfortable position because, I do definitely encourage you to do the same because I know this particular subject line is a very, very emotional subject for the both of us. Not just me, not just you, but for both of us. It's a very, very emotional subject. So I am going to, I'm going to get kind of comfortable here, and I encourage you to do the same. So we're not going to jump right into the worst of the subject, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to go back to birth, okay? And we're going to talk about our childhood for a little bit. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine by me because I'll probably maybe hash up some memories and maybe the Holy Spirit will reveal some memories that maybe we don't recall or something.
Amen.
I think
Uh,
he's already started doing that.
just a side note, and this has nothing to do really with this subject, but what what was the name of that pastor that you went and seen? You and some family members went and seen here recently.
Oh, Global Vision?
Yeah, yeah. How'd things go there? Yeah, I mean, you told me some earlier when we talked in regards to like that, but do you want to talk about that any right now?
Well, that went pretty awesome, except for with Brianna. But I mean, yeah, it was life changing when we were delivered, and I wish, put it this way, I wish every Christian could experience that. It's a gift that God has given to His children, and I mean, it's something that we all should do. We
Amen.
have to do. We need to do. But then you've got to follow through once you get deliverance, and you have to thing in your house that may be satanic or cursed or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then any holes that you have, or the demonic has left or whatever, needs to be filled with God and the Holy Spirit. Otherwise, it's going to come back sevenfold.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I'm gonna take my phone out of the case and see if that'll help anything. I don't ever take it out of its otter box, but I will this time. All right. I Oh, get it plugged back in. Broccoli says we can hear her. We can hear fine. I think.
Did you say broccoli?
Broccoli. Yeah. Broccoli.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't offend someone, but that's what it sounded like you said was broccoli.
Yeah, I did kind of mingle the first and last name together, didn't I?
Yeah.
Sarah, great to hear you again. Also, thank you for coming forward yet again to explain the truth of the past. That was from Granny Joe. People have heard from me. Anyway, people have heard enough from me, and I mean, granted, they'll hear more from me on this stream, but given that they hear from me all the time, I'd rather let you do some of the talking. I, I,
Well, I do have
is
something to
her.
say if you want me to go ahead. Okay. No, I just wanted to say that I think because of the deliverance, is why I'm ready and okay with doing this, for one. For two, I think because it is so raw and emotional that, how do I want to say this? That it can make someone look really bad, even though you were just children when it happened. And so maybe, just maybe, in my mind or whatnot, because of that, I pushed back. So, I don't know. I think the Holy Spirit revealed a memory to me while I was praying before this call. Felt like I got a message, made me tear up. So, but we'll eventually get there. But I just kind of wanted to lay that out there that I think this is needed. I don't think this is okay. God has timing for everything, and I believe now is the time. But it is a conversation that needed to happen. Granted, it's happened a long time ago, but even though it did happen a long time ago, it can still hold baggage onto you years later and could cause disease and sickness and curses and what, who knows what else. So, basically, John 8:32, the truth will set you free. So, there we go.
Amen. Amen. I have to admit, you got me really curious what this revelation was, but
we'll get there.
We'll get there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you said you wanted to talk from childhood, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I can start if you want, because I'm okay with it. I can start.
Okay, and to be honest, you might be the better person to start anyway, because I have worked so incredibly hard to, literally forget a lot of things in my life, in my past, because it was too hard, too hurtful, too painful, and that was the only way I could overcome and become who I am today, under God's grace. And so, to be honest, as you're talking, you're probably going to spark some memories I've long forgotten, but that's okay. It needs to happen, and I can rebury it again. The good Lord will give me, he will give me the gift to be able to rebury things that I might have forgotten. Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead.
It's the same when Anna and I have talked. Like, there'll be some things that I've said, and she'll be like, I do not remember that, because I somehow have managed to remember the good as well. And like when talking to Anna, it's been hard for her to remember the good. So I guess that's how I was able to deal with it. Yeah. Was try to remember the good, I suppose.
I have tried hard. I got to admit to you, I've tried hard to remember anything good from my childhood. I mean, at this precise moment, okay, I think over the years, every once in a blue moon, I'll have a memory come back to me that I can be like, okay, I did forget about this. This was a good thing. But for the most part, I like in this very moment right now, I cannot remember not one good memory from my childhood that was not tainted with something bad.
Okay, well, yeah, there might be, and you're probably right on that, but I think because of how bad our childhood was, for me, it was necessary for me to cling on to the good things that happened to get through.
So that's where we kind of differ then. I was never able to cling on to the good things because of so many negatives being attached to the good things. There was always, for me, a negative attached to it. And so how could I remember anything good in my mind? Anyway.
I don't know if a lot of that happened because I remember us as a family went to a Kenneth Hagin meeting, and I remember being in daycare. I was 3 or 4. I think I told you this story. I told Mom. But I remember being in the daycare, just, outside the service, and the Holy Spirit was so thick that I ended up getting filled with the Holy Spirit in daycare, and coming out and just looking up at the sky and speaking in tongues. And then from then on, like I loved worship music, and I would go outside with my little microphone and my cassette player, and I'd have Shouts of the Lord in there, the cassette tape, and I'd just sing and sing and sing. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I think at a young age, I just kind of, when I was younger, turned things to God, by just singing to him and stuff. But as I got older, and Dad kind of started being forceful with things, then I got in having that fear of Dad turned into the wrong kind of fear of God. And so it kind of tainted things for me that way. I think that's why things ended up.
So hot in here.
Do what?
Sorry, I was still able to hear you. I had to step away for a second, turn this other air conditioner on. It was getting so hot in here. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, it's hot.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay,
I was listening to you though, and I know my viewers certainly was.
Okay, so I mean, I don't. Probably most of the viewers have never really had to recount their whole childhood,
Right?
Like this before. So,
yeah.
I'm sure they're probably like, I don't even know how you guys are doing this, because to have to sit and go back and recount the whole thing.
Well, there's not a whole lot of people in life either that that the Lord's able to use, because the average person, the average Christian, wants to lead a quiet, peaceful, no drama filled life, and it's much easier for the average Christian to sit back in their house, go to church every Sunday, maybe do the right thing, actually be a Christian, whatever. But when it comes to the hard things, that they're not going to do it. They're not bold enough to do it. And the Bible tells us that we've got to be bold as Christians. And so what we are doing right now, especially you, because I mean, I've had plenty of practice over the last couple of years, especially here recently. Just honestly, plenty of practice over the last 10 or 12 years, but especially the last couple of years, in as far as being bold. And and this is the first time, at least, that I've seen boldness from you. And so I have to say that you are what's the word here? You're doing like me now at this point, and standing outside the norm of society, which is to just keep quiet, not allow testimonies to get out there, because it's easier than having to deal with it and relive things and so on. But it's also because we've learned who our enemy is. We've learned how to forgive, and get past it, so on and so forth. Anyway, I kind of took the floor over. My bad.
That's okay. No, I think going to Tennessee it set me free from all that, set me free from bitterness and resentment, so that way I could see the truth.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Tennessee, did you by any chance go visit the mountain we flipped down while you was there?
It was an hour away, and I was going to, yes, but I don't think God wanted us to, because I was actually telling Brianna and Wesley that we could go check it out, but I would have to be the one driving. But then there again, I'd be afraid the same thing would happen with different results. But we were going to go, because before we went down there, I thought it was only going to be 30 minutes away, and we were going to go to Cookville too. And when we got down there and I looked it up, it was going to be an hour away.
Gotcha.
And so we didn't end up going, because we couldn't afford to. We just basically went to the meetings and then stayed in the hotel room.
Okay.
We drove around a couple times to get food, but
we
were there for deliverance. So
me and Mom and I don't remember if Pam was with us or not when we went through Tennessee, but anyway, no, I don't think she was. I don't think she was with us on that one. But anyway, me and Mom actually did get to go through there here about a year ago, and it was definitely interesting. I tell you what, some beautiful countryside over there. That's for sure.
Did you go where we flipped down the mountain?
Yes, yeah, we drove around that, and do you know that what's it been? Let's see, I was I think 8 years old when that happened. So that would have been 32 years ago. And do you know that in 32 years' time, they still haven't put a guardrail up on that stupid mountain?
Really?
Really? Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Still no guardrail there.
Wow.
I was like, I could not believe after 32 years that the county still has not put a guardrail up on that curve. That is insane.
I wonder if we could figure out what the name of that, like that road is or whatever, and see how many accidents have been on it, and see if anyone else.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd be hard pressed. Like when I went through there, like I don't know how in the world we even found it. To be honest, mom like had some kind of memory of it, and so through that and through signs and different things as we was traveling is how we found it. But if I was to set out like right now to go find it again, I would be pretty hard pressed to find that thing again.
So it isn't. So it isn't the only way from Cookville to Sparta.
Like I said, I'd be pretty hard pressed to answer any questions like that. I don't remember how we found it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's out there. It's out there. I mean it's between. Well, it was. If I remember correctly, it was somewhere around Sparta, but it wasn't actually as close to Sparta as I thought I had remembered it being.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I remember we had made it to Sparta, and that's when Dad realized he forgot his wallet. Except he didn't realize he forgot his wallet. He realized that Mom forgot to remind him to get his wallet.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't think I've ever heard your account on this story. Why don't you give us your account of this story?
I just remember turning around to go back because of, the wallet and him yelling at Mom because blaming it on her as the reason why I forgot the wallet. And I remember saying I had to go pee, and he told me I'd have to hold it, and he wasn't paying attention to the road, and before he realized it that it curved, he caught rock there, and then we went down the mountain. And I remember all I did was say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And meanwhile, while peeing my pants and looking and seeing that Mom was underneath me, so I don't know if she got any pee on her head or not. I've always kind of made a joke about that. But yeah, I remember landing on top of a rock in the middle of the creek, all of us getting out. Someone had stopped and they'd seen us roll down the mountain, and I remember climbing up the mountain, and an ambulance came. I remember you scratched your finger, I fractured my left arm. Anna was pinned between the front seat and the roof, so she wasn't injured at all. And then I think something happened to Mom's back or whatever, but I remember I had to wear a cast. But I do remember them saying that the creek was low that day. If it had been any other time, we probably would have drowned because none of us could really swim. And so I remember just being like super thankful for that. And that's one of the reasons why, even when like through the bad times, I tell myself God's got a plan and a purpose for us, because otherwise we wouldn't still be here. We wouldn't have been spared that day.
Amen.
So that's what I remember.
Well, I remember. Well, I remember. It's kind of the same, but a little different. I remember Dad yelling, and I think he was already upset before he even realized he had left his wallet. And then I think the car went quiet. Everything in the car went quiet while he was driving. And then within a couple minutes, is when he bursted out in anger, blaming it on Mom. How could you dare let me go out and to leave and not grab my wallet and blah blah blah. And she just remained quiet. And he's driving along and he's screaming, he's yelling, and Mom just being quiet. He got even madder because she wasn't saying anything, and he's like, "What? Cat got your blankety blanking tongue and blah blah blah," and she still didn't say anything. And I remember him he reached over, grabbed her by the hair, and was uh, just yanking her head all around by her hair.
Oh gosh, I don't remember that part. Wow.
Yeah, but we had not turned around. Like he was talking about turning around, but then I think like we was already 50 miles away from home or something, 50 or 100 miles away from home, and he was debating whether to turn around. No. He had made the turn, and we was a ways on down that turn, and there was no turnaround spot. And the reason I can say that there's no turnaround spot is because I was at that spot here about a year ago. And so I actually do know that that must have been why he. I always knew he didn't turn around, but I didn't know why he hadn't turned around exactly. But I'm guessing he either decided we was far enough along, and maybe we had money with us or something, and so we didn't need his wallet, and he'd just drive without a license. Well, actually, no, because he had no driver's license. It was suspended, revoked, if you remember.
Oh.
Yeah, he was driving on a suspended driver's license. He'd gotten too many speeding tickets within a year's time. And
What was the big deal about having his wallet?
now that we mention it, I don't know. Uh, but But anyway, so I don't know if it was a cross between both or one or the other that he decided not to turn around, or he just hadn't found a turnaround spot yet because of that particular 2-lane road. There was no turnaround spot at all. It was too narrow of a road, too many windy curves, and if he'd have tried to turn around in the middle of the road, he'd had to take both lanes, and anything could have happened at that moment. Well, anyway, so we're carrying along, and he starts whipping Mom's head all around by her hair, and at this point, I believe it was starting to get dark. I think I remember being asleep, sitting on my seatbelt as I always did because I hated seatbelts even at that age.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, I wake up I mean I'm asleep, but I'm in and out because of Dad yelling and all the drama. But of course, we're so used to it. I was so used to it that I guess I was able to sleep through it.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
you too.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha. So next thing I know is I woke up to the car coming to a screeching halt, and we're at a dead standstill. We're not moving. And then Dad hollers out, "Hold on, everybody. We're going over." Apparently, even though we was at a dead standstill, the front passenger side tire caught red dirt on the side of the cliff, and it was that red dirt that pulled us on over. And I remember flipping about 7 complete flips down the side of that mountain, landing upside down in the middle of a creek on a big old huge boulder. Praise the Lord that it hadn't rained in so long
Yeah.
in that area that the creek was actually completely dry. There was nothing.
Yeah.
There was no water in it. Uh, which is funny because later the next day when Dad and all of us traveled back over there to get all his tools that had fell out of the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he couldn't recover many of his tools because the creek had filled up overnight from it raining.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No. See, that's what I'm saying is, I think each person remembers different things
Yeah.
growing up, and then and remembers them in different ways. Because I could swear that we turned around to go back.
No, we
And
never.
that's when.
Yeah, we never turned around.
See what I'm saying? How it can be so different.
Yeah.
In how you remember something as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, sure can be. And then so then what I remember was I think I was I can't remember if I was the first one out of the car or if Anna. No. Anna was the last one out. I think you were the first one out of the car. I pulled out. It was upside down. That Chevy Caprice flattened like a pancake. Dad was the first one actually got out of the car. And he came around to the back, and I don't know how he was standing up there because there wasn't much room left on that boulder that we was dangling on. But somehow he pulled you out through through the back window, and you were crying about your arm, hurting and whatnot. So he took off his shirt Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, he did. No, I don't know if he did anything for you on that one or not. I don't remember if he took off his shirt and like wrapped your arm in it or something. You wasn't bleeding, but you was crying in agony. I was the next one out, and I had a gash on my finger, and the scar, of course, is still there to this day, big and bowed, and a gash on my index finger. But that was the only deal I got. And I remember while we was going down the mountain, I remember just thinking, wee! It felt like I was in a dryer. I was just having fun.
Really?
Yeah.
You were having fun?
I was having fun. As we was going down the mountain, I was just thinking, wee, this is fun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And here I am praying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And you're like, fun, fun, fun.
Yeah. I had no clue that our lives was extremely in danger. I had no clue.
Oh my gosh.
It was fun to me. Well, anyway, so I was the next one out of the car. Dad seen my my bloody finger, and I do remember him grabbing something. I don't remember if it was his shirt or if he grabbed a red rag, or I don't remember. I remember him giving me something to put around the finger to stop the blood, and then I remember him pulling Anna out. She was pinned between the back seat cushion. Okay, it wasn't the front cushion, the front seat.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the back. The seat itself was all one solid piece across the back bench seat. All right, and it somehow undid itself from the car or whatever, from being locked in or whatever. It undid itself, came up, and pinned Anna between that entire seat cushion and the roof. She came out without one scratch at all on her. Not one scratch, not one broken limb.
That, yeah.
So then he gets Anna out, and he's hollering for Mom. Mom's not saying anything. Nothing. Not a peep. And I kid you, I remember this like it was last week. She's not saying anything. And he starts freaking out. Well, in the end picture, we come to find out that Mom wasn't saying anything because she was so scared of him and everything that had just happened, so mad at him, so scared that her kids was probably dead, that she was in shock. She didn't want to deal with him. Well, anyway, he finally made it around over to the passenger side. He's hollering at her and whatnot. I don't remember how exactly though, because he's like hollering at her. She's not responding. He's flipping out, thinking she's dead, and he couldn't get to her. I don't remember what it was that caused him not to be able to get to her, but he couldn't get to her. Then the next thing I remember was him telling us, the ambulance had showed up. And before the ambulance showed up, there was some people that seen us go down the mountain, and and they hollered down at us that paramedics was on the way. And then a little bit later, once we was all out, whatever, I remember sitting up against a tree. And when the ambulance showed up, and then Dad told us to go on up, to start climbing up that mountain and get to the ambulance. And then the next thing I remember was being on a gurney, and I'm cutting my favorite jacket off. Oh, so mad at him. I love that jacket. And I remember at that age, I loved having a lot of pockets. And that jacket, I mean, it had so many pockets all over it, and I just loved it. I remember they started cutting. I'm like, stop, no, don't cut my jacket. And they're like, we got to, son. And I'm like, no. I mean, I was throwing a major fit over it, but they went ahead and cut it off anyway. All they had to do was just take it off the right way, the jerks. I'm still mad about that.
Oh, goodness.
But anyway, so I remember that. Then the next memory I have is actually at the hospital. I still remember what that hospital room looked like. And I remember Dad and Mom sitting in the hospital room. Mom had sprung her neck. They put one of them funnel things around her neck.
Right. I think okay, I remember that.
Yeah. You had a broken arm. I had the one cut on my index finger, and show the viewers the scar if they can see it. Let's see. Right there on the knuckle. Oh, right there on the knuckle of my index finger, if y'all can see that scar. That's from this wreck that we're talking about right now. Anyway, and I remember Dad saying, telling mom that she has to say she was driving.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Yes. Okay, I remember that.
Yep.
Yep, I remember that.
So, I when the police came in and started questioning, of course, mom said that she was the one driving because dad didn't have a driver's license, and and he was, his intimidation tactics, forced her to be scared and just take the rap for it. I don't think any that she ever got tickets, and the person that had witnessed the wreck told the police that my dad was driving.
Oh.
Yeah, and but it was that witness's testimony against my mom's or our mom's, and so they got away with it.
They got away with a lot of stuff growing up.
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff, including that Arkansas ordeal. But anyway, that's another
Yeah, I
story.
remember that too.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, we all lived, blah blah blah, and went back the next day to get his tools. The creek bed was all filled up. He did retrieve some of his tools, and then we went and seen the car. It was smashed to smithereens. I mean, I don't know how any one of us survived that wreck. Well, alone, all 5 of us that was in that car surviving. But good Lord had his angels of protection over us. I know that.
Yeah.
Well, what about that?
I'll say that a Caprice Classic is a dang good car.
Yeah. Well, what about that ordeal? That Arkansas ordeal. You want to talk about that for a minute?
I remember getting pulled over. I remember Dad saying something about you hiding the stuff in your pockets or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to the police station, and you went to the bathroom and you flushed all the evidence down the toilet. All of it.
Yeah.
And I remember us sitting like out in the lobby, and they were sitting back in the jail cell or whatnot, but they didn't have. I don't remember how they got arrested though, because if you had all the evidence, like how'd they get busted?
Well,
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
So is that the extent of what you remember?
Pretty much. I remember being in the lobby area while they were in the jail cell, and I vaguely remember going to court. But
oh wow.
Yeah, that's.
Well, see, I remember quite a bit more.
Oh, maybe I just don't have a good memory then, because Troy's told me a few times here and there that especially my. And then he says that I think he says things when he doesn't, and I don't know. Maybe after this deliverance, maybe my memory will be better. I don't know.
Yeah, so I remember. I remember we didn't get pulled over. All right, because we was already pulled over. We was sitting in a hospital parking lot.
Really?
You don't remember that? Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I need to stop saying you don't remember that. In a question for, I need to stop that.
Obviously, I
don't. Right. I'm like shocked that you say you don't remember some of this stuff because I have such a clear memory of it. But yeah, I remember sitting in the hospital parking lot, and apparently, like mom was in there, doing her thing, and I'm so used to us just knowing what I'm talking about. I guess I need to make it clear for the viewers. So my dad would make our mother, go into hospitals, complain of a toothache, and get pain medicine. Well, and Dad would travel around from state to state, town to town, making her go to all these hospitals. Okay, so this particular town in Arkansas, I almost want to say it was like Little Rock or something, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it seems like it was.
Yeah. Okay, so this particular town in Arkansas that we went to on this occasion, well, they messed up. they hit a hospital in one town, went to the next town over, and hit the next hospital. What they failed to realize, it was the same county, same hospital. They were linked together, and somehow, even though computers wasn't all that advanced back then, somehow they was linked together by the computer system. And so anyway, we're sitting out there, and I remember sitting in the back seat like always, waiting on Mom to do her thing and come back out. When we seen police officers show up, Mom had been in there for an overextended amount of time beyond normal, and so Dad started getting worried. And then these two squad cars pull up in front of the hospital. So the next thing that happened was cops come out to the car and they questioned Dad. And then I don't remember exactly what happened, but they brought Mom out and they let Mom get into the car uh, with us. And they told my dad, "You follow us to the police station." And they escorted us all the way to the police station. A squad car in front of us, a squad car behind us. So we got to the police station, but on the way to the police station, Dad handed me, Dad was just, carrying on about he didn't know what to do with the drugs, the pills, and so I piped up and I'm like, well, I got this pouch in my underwear. I could put them all in there and then go to the bathroom and flush them. Oh, okay, all right, yeah, do that. So he hands me several $1,000 worth of Vicodins and Tylenol 3s and OxyContins and Darvocets and just, I mean, whatever. You name the pill, he had it. He hands me.
Because he was addicted.
Yeah. So, I mean, my underwear was just plumb filled, packed out in that little pouch on the underwear with all these pills. And so we get to the police station, and I don't remember like exactly the details once we got there. I remember what the outside of the police station looked like. I remember looking at the police station from the street parking area, like we parked at an angle on the street, but in a parking spot, and and we had to walk like there was a bunch of grass between us and the. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's going off course. It doesn't matter what it looked like. Anyway, I remember going in there and being escorted by an officer, and I told the officer I need to go to the bathroom. Well, they patted my jacket down, if I remember correctly, but that was it. And I'm guessing it was because I was a kid, that they didn't want to go too far with it. And well, anyway, so they let me go to the bathroom, but an officer was standing right outside the bathroom door. Meanwhile, I'm in there flushing all them thousands of dollars worth of pills down the toilet. So they didn't have any evidence other than the hospital saying, the hospital records showing that she had been to two different hospitals. So they ended up letting Mom and Dad go, but they did file charges on. I don't remember if it was on just Mom or just Dad or both, but they filed charges. And I remember we had to drive back because we was living in Tennessee at the time. Remember, we had to drive back to Arkansas to go to court several times. And then at some point, they just dropped the case.
Yeah.
Decided not to pursue the charges or whatever because for a lack of evidence or something. But that did end the reign of terror that Dad was making Mom do for so many years, month after month, hitting all these hospitals. And I mean, it was so bad. I remember Mom aggravating her gums, making them red and sore and hurting just so she could go into the hospital and get them pills for him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh.
Yep. I remember that too.
Yeah.
So you're saying that he stopped after that?
Yeah, he stopped after that. Yeah, they didn't do that anymore.
Different way to get him then.
Do what?
So he found a different way to get the pills then.
Yeah, he found a different way to get them. I mean, and then periodically, from time to time, over the years after that, yeah, he did have my mom go in, or our mom go into the hospital and do that. But then he started having me do it as I got older.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
And matter of fact, we even went to Mexico once. when I was 17. Went across the border of Mexico, and he had me go in and pay a doctor off in order to get pills. Oh, that's a whole nother story. Yeah,
So we both were in Mexico at the age of 17 then, huh?
yeah, that's right. You had some sort of mission trip you went on over there, and then well, so did I. I was on a mission trip too.
A mission for Dad, or
Well, yeah, a mission for Dad for pills.
that's a funny way to put it. Oh gosh, that's good stuff. We were both on a missions trip.
Yeah, we were both on a missions trip. Yours was just a better
So,
missions trip than mine.
well, yours was for your earthly father, and mine was for my heavenly father.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Okay,
Oh, goodness
so
me.
well, we talk about like say the trips to great grandma's house. You know, like the going there, uh, mainly the going there and the coming back. Like when we would stop, like when they get like KFC and stuff like that. Maybe a little bit of while we was there. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Uh, yeah, sure, but you'll probably be talking about most of it because all I remember is sleeping on the way there and sleeping on the way back. I do remember occasionally bringing KFC to Grandma's. I remember Grandma's, great Grandma's, but the way there and back, I just remember sleeping so that way I get there faster.
You don't remember when we'd stop off? I don't know if it was like in Ottawa or where it was exactly. We'd stop off at a KFC.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I don't remember details, but yeah, I do remember stopping and getting like dinner or something and bringing it to her. But I remember eating at Grandma's. Her cooking
Yeah.
was my favorite. I can still smell her cooking to this day. I mean, that's what I just remember. I love great grandma's. I love going there. I remember Dad shooting a hole in the ceiling with. I remember she used to give us her change, all the change that she had, and then we get like a mile or two there, and Dad would make us give it all to him.
Mm-hmm. What about when she would send each of us kids money in the mail?
Oh, he'd take all that.
Yeah, we get a birthday card or a Christmas card.
Yeah, he'd get it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And then with Grandma Johnny, we wouldn't even get any of the stuff. He'd like return it or throw it away.
Yeah, and what did we have to do though when great grandma would ask us about the money?
I don't remember what we had to do. What do you mean?
We was told that we had to tell her that we got it.
Oh, did we have to make up stories or something of what we used it for?
Yeah, well, she never really asked. I don't remember like her actually asking much. I do remember so many times Dad telling us though that if she asked, that we had to tell her that we got it and like tell her we spent it on candy or toys or something like that. Oh, what happened to my camera? Oh, there we go. Anyway, yeah, and then like on the trips, like when we'd stop at KFC, I remember so many times it was like dead of summer. Oh my goodness, him and Mom would go in KFC, leave us sitting out in the car during the heat of the summer with all the windows up. Oh. Do you remember any time?
I remember that.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
What do you remember?
I remember getting accused of. We got accused of doing something every time I came back to the car.
Oh yeah.
Every single time, especially with like a soda can or something. He'd swear up and down that we touched it or whatnot. We'd be out there sweating our asses off.
Or the mirror.
Ew. Huh?
Or the rear view mirror.
Oh yeah, we'd move the mirror, so yeah. There's always something.
Yeah.
And then it would be like a whole day thing until someone confessed.
And if nobody confessed, then what happened?
And unfortunately, Anna would make up a story that I remember that me or you did it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That happened a lot of times, and how did she learn to do that though?
I actually don't know.
Because if nobody admitted to it or nobody told on the other person, we would all get our butts beat to
Oh yeah,
smithereens. And so, yeah,
yeah,
Anna,
yeah.
bless her heart, she got real good at coming up with stories to say we did it.
Stories. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hold on a minute. I have got to go to the bathroom really, really bad.
Okay, I'm gonna take the opportunity to go myself too, because I gotta go too.
All right. I'm back. I don't know if you are or not, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. And there was something what was it I was going to say before we started back in? Oh, that's what it was. Sitting here talking to you, man, I really thought that I had forgotten a lot of this stuff. I didn't realize that somehow I've forgotten it. Yet when I dig it back up, I still have such a crystal clear memory of it all. Man.
Also, maybe it just takes, recalling it, bringing it back up, because as you talk about it, then I remember, you know,
Yeah.
as you're saying the things, and I think I remember, unless my mind's just telling me that I remember, but I don't think so. Sorry, I'm bringing on medicine here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're fine. Remember, Christians are tired of being attacked for our beliefs. It is much easier to just walk away from the hate drama and spend more time in silence. Amen.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her through this whole. It has to be demonic because no one else is getting sick. It's not a virus or nothing. So, trying to get her through all this. Matter of fact, I told her maybe we need to go back down to Tennessee, talk to them and have them pray over it. We've got to get it stopped somehow.
Right. And you got to know your authority.
Oh yeah, I mean we've done all that except for what you said this morning. I hadn't thought of that, so I'll probably try that later on tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, what do I have to lose? Nothing.
Right. Of course, it comes with faith too, and being clean, coming unto Him clean, being forgiven of sins.
Oh right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
You can't just use
Yeah.
it. You can't just use the name of Jesus if you're and expect it to work if you have any unforgiveness or anything you've not been forgiven for. And if there's anything that we've done knowingly that we haven't went and made amends for with the person we did it to, then we don't get forgiveness either.
Right. Well, there is something that happened with her, for someone that she had forgiven or whatnot in Tennessee, and we were still in Tennessee. Just out of the blue, the next day, messaged her and said they loved her,
Oh.
and I mean, it blew her mind
Huh.
because this person hadn't messaged her or nothing, and for her that was a sign from God that to help her believe, in what was going on and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's good.
yeah, I'm making a cup of coffee now here for myself.
Gotcha. What subject would you like to talk about?
Well, when you said talk about our childhood, I mean, going back from the very beginning, I was gonna be like, well, I remember when we were babies. I remember being in St. Louis and being lifted up to the arch together, me and you.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember who had who. It was just the two of us.
Huh.
And I remember being lifted up in the air at the arch and looking over and seeing you.
Wow.
That's all I remember at that point. Yeah, that's my earliest memory.
Okay, because I don't have that memory. You must have been 3 or 4 or something at that point, and I would have been a year younger.
Yeah, I might have been like 2. I think.
You remember that from
2.
when you was 2?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I would have only been about a year then at that point. There's no way I'd have remembered that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were just youngins.
Wow.
I remember that. That's the only one I could think of. I think that I remember that young.
Huh.
But let's see. I remember William Street. I remember riding in the electric little cars. remember Ruben. I remember Brianna saying, "That's funny, Ruben," or something
Brianna,
like that.
you mean Anna?
Or Anna, yeah. And everyone just being like, "Oh, that was so cute."
Right.
You know. I remember Dad getting in trouble for poking a school teacher for showing up right when we were getting ready to go for a motorcycle ride. And so I didn't get my motorcycle ride.
I got out of a butt whipping because of it.
Oh, did you?
He had just had me pull my pants down bare butt naked and had me bent over on my hands and with my hands on the floor, and he was fixed. He was just lifting that belt up when the pounding on the door happened. Yeah, I think he might have sent you on outside to the motorcycle because he was going to take you for a ride, but he was fixing to beat my rear end uh, for whatever had happened at the school.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember I remember them showing up at the door and hauling his butt off in cuffs, and I'm like,
That's
phew.
what you get.
Yeah, yeah.
If that had been me, I'd have been like, "Ah, that's what you get."
Well, I
You
didn't
just.
dare because I mean, obviously he's going to get out of jail at some point. Come back and really whoop my rear end then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but for some reason I remember us like he got in trouble there. I don't know if during the process of his trial is when he moved to
Are you
Webster.
talking to me or somebody else?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay. Now I can hear you.
It switched to my watch for some reason. I don't know why it did that, but
Oh,
um, no, I said I remember that he got in trouble on William Street, but then he was in jail. When he was in jail, we were living on Webster Street,
yeah.
and I remember holding signs up. Mom had us go up to the courthouse. He only had to spend like 15 days in jail, but we held signs for him to see if he looked out his jail cell or whatever.
Right.
But
And
I
two.
remember that being like one of the happiest times of my childhood.
Oh yeah, yeah. Same here. Yeah, we got raised by mom alone for 15 days. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was really awesome.
I
But
know. I remember
do
having to do the
you?
whole X's and O's thing though from down below. He was what 3 stories up, in his
Yeah.
looking out the pod window, and
Mm-hmm.
we'd be down there in the parking lot and doing this whole whatever the sign language thing was for hug and kisses, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you? So going back to that, I don't recall him ever poking her. Do you?
No, I was there throughout. I mean, of course, I was there throughout the whole thing, and he actually did not poke her on that. He didn't
So I
do
say
that.
I didn't think so, because I was sitting in the back seat and I don't recall. I don't even recall him really using his finger. I do recall him being upset.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't recall him ever touching her.
No, the school teacher had handed him some papers, so he kind of flung them over in the passenger seat, and he said, and she was screaming at him, he needs to do this work before the end of the school year. He's falling way behind. And so he took the papers, he flung them in the, well, he didn't really fling them, but he didn't really set them down easy either. And he just kind of tossed them in the passenger seat. And he just says, okay, I got to go pick up my wife, he said, from work. As soon as I get home, I'll look these over, have him do them. She started going ballistic on him. Give me those papers back. Give me those papers back. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, ma'am, you just handed them to me and told me he needed to get them done before the end of the school year. I said, give me them papers back. Blah, 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 blah. And so he just at that point started rolling the window up. And she's got her arms and her head up in the window trying to reach across him to the passenger seat to grab the papers back. And anyway, so somehow or another, like he never even touched her through all this. Like I mean, he really legitimately, and trust me, I kind of wish he had because, yeah. But whatever. Sorry, Lord. Okay, a little bitterness came back there for a second, but anyway, have I really forgiven him? Sorry, Lord. I guess I have. Okay, but no. somehow or another, he was able to get her out of the car without ever having to touch her, and he kept just trying to roll. I guess he was rolling the window up while she was doing it. He just kept rolling the window up slowly, a little at a time, until she started retreating a little at a time, but trying her hardest to stay in that window and get him to roll it back down, and he wouldn't. And so finally, I remember her being so far back that only her forearm was still in the window, hovering over the window with her hand fully inside, and he just kept slowly going up with the window. And as it almost started to pinch her arm, she pulled it back. Well, he took and he decided he had to get out of there. So he turned the wheels to the right. He was parked up against the curb, because he was there picking us up. And he actually popped up over the curb in order to get away from her and to not run her feet over because she was still that close to the car. He did so without harming her, without nothing. And I guess that teacher had one of her other teacher friends, like, I guess that wasn't,
It was the PTA.
PTA? Parent Teacher Association?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep, the PTA came and sided with her.
Okay, yeah, they backed her up and said, and they acted as a witness for her that they seen everything. Yeah. Well, they flat out lied. He never did poke her, as they accused him of. But whatever. I mean, this is just one of them things in my book. He didn't get caught for most everything that he had ever done criminalistically, but that he really did do. But he did get caught for something he didn't do, which is
right.
Yeah. So I mean,
worked out in the long run.
Well, to some extent. I mean, all he got in the end picture was 30 days in jail, which he only had to serve 15 days on because he got the 3 days time served, and then day for day. I don't even know if he had to serve 15 days, and then he got 2 years probation. So, and that was the other thing. When we went down that mountain, do you know that he was still on supervised probation and no driver's license when we went down that mountain?
No, I didn't remember that. No.
I actually didn't either until just this moment. It just dawned on me he was still on probation. He was in that. I think he was about 6 months into that probation when we went down that mountain.
I forgot about him ever even being on probation.
Yeah.
As I say, I think what I did is kind of along the same lines as you. Like, I can remember things, but I chose just to put it in my past and move forward with my life and not dwell on it and just try to, change my future and change how I raised my kids.
Right.
I didn't want them to have the same childhood as me.
Yeah.
So I've learned enough to not focus on the past, to focus on the present. So I think that's why maybe I don't remember in detail a lot of stuff, because I just, I remember the main parts or whatever, but I don't remember the details. That's why I'm starting to think that maybe you probably remember more than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think that, because, seriously, like I said when we first started this, I have tried so hard, and I thought that I had literally forgot most everything. I thought I had really forgotten everything until we started talking, and it's amazing just how much I haven't forgotten. It's kind of showing me though. It's kind of showing me though that I guess you can forgive and forget until it's necessary to remember.
Yeah, then it's brought back up.
Yeah, and for me, this isn't a bitter thing. Well, for the most part, I did have a little weak moment right there when I said about I wish the things that I was saying about that story wasn't true, but so I had a little weak moment, but I don't think in the end picture I really meant it, because.
Okay. So can I ask a personal question then?
Go for it.
Okay, because I feel like a year ago for both of us, there was bitterness. So for me, the bitterness went away 2 weeks ago in Tennessee. What was the event that helped take maybe not even necessarily just that situation, but everything in general. What helped take the bitterness away with you?
My light switch moment. Most everything goes back to my light switch moment about a year and a half, 2 years ago, when I was sitting in the motorhome. Mom was sitting there, and I was talking to her, and I don't even remember what exactly I was talking about, but it had to have been something to do with the Lord, spiritual matters. And I started talking about Ephesians 6, and then, I mean, like flipping a light switch, all of a sudden, bam, instantly. I mean, I've never before nor since experienced anything like it. But instantly, I knew exactly what Ephesians 6, chapter 6, verse 12 meant.
Mm-hmm.
And I understood at that point who my enemy was. And I began to understand, wait a minute, all these people that have harmed me and done me wrong in my life, they wasn't actually the ones that did this.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, I started growing and learning and losing the bitterness. In regards to the stuff between me and you, and what happened a year ago, you know, at first, I was a little bitter.
Oh yeah.
But then pretty quickly, it just turned into, okay, I love her. I forgive her. I I can't hold this bitterness because she's just not where I'm at right now in understanding who the enemy is, and in my mindset, true or false, okay, whether this was the case or not, right? In my mindset, your pride or the spirit of pride was causing you to react in the way you were reacting, and for that reason, I was able to let it go. Now, at the same time, while I let it go, I knew that I had to just pull back and keep my distance and just let you and the Lord deal with it on your own, no matter how long it took.
Right, right. No, that's pretty much the same here. Pretty much, almost is how I felt too. That's crazy. We
Yeah.
both felt the same way. And
Yep.
then over the past year, me and Mom still talk, and there's things that she says, that you said or you're doing or something, and I just sit there and I'm like, we are just so similar. Like everything, like I started following Pastor Walk again, and I found out you had interest in him. I've seen that the music you've been listening to at nighttime, I've been listening to for the past 2 years or better.
Wow.
Yeah, and then like scriptures that you bring up or things that you talk about, especially when it comes to Ephesians 6 and the demonic and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've been God's put that upon my heart about 4 years ago with the whole false pregnancy thing when he rebuilt my foundation, and it was just me and him. And I didn't go to church really or anything until just probably a month and a half ago when that Pastor Locke come up and some other guy that I was, matter of fact, I was, felt like God was focusing me on the history of the Bible. And so I've been watching God in a Nutshell for the last 2 years, and I've learned so much, so much about the Bible and how things were, and which would help me be able to interpret the Bible better when I read it, knowing the history as well. But then I was watching something by them, and Pastor Locke's name came up, and I was like, huh. And it was about deliverance, and then it really piqued my interest because I was like, huh? Because I had dreams about casting out demons and stuff, repetitive dreams, so I knew that's what God wanted me to do. But anyways, so started watching him, and then seeing that you were watching him, and it just, I don't know, I kept telling Mom, I was like, we are like, I swear, at the same spot, just in different ways. That's what I told her. We're at the same spot, but just in different ways.
So did you see a while back when I was playing videos in regards to casting out demons and and deliverance of from demons and stuff like that. Was you watching any of that?
I don't think I seen that, because with the whole false pregnancy thing, I mean, that really got me to where I quit watching Kenneth Copeland, Andrew Womack, all those. I quit watching anyone. I quit going to church. I just wanted to just be me and God. And so then that whole convoy happened, and I kind of got into that, but that was about it. I mean, so I didn't really get into any videos or anything. God in a Nutshell was the farthest I allowed myself to even go, and that was only because it was history.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't like preaching or anything like that. It needed to be me and God. I needed to learn from Him, and not man.
Okay, let me ask you something here. One, I got to go to the bathroom again. Been drinking a lot of coffee, but while I'm going to the bathroom, will you tell the viewers, and then I'll hear the rest of it when I get back from the bathroom. Okay, will you tell the viewers, like, I still have to research this. I don't know anything about it. Okay, but other than what you've talked about, but everything I've heard you say on this subject seem to line up. I just haven't done my own research on it. And that is on the subject of what you call the courts of heaven. I'm going to go to the bathroom, and if you would talk about that for a minute, I think that would be something great for the viewers to hear about.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay, all right. I'll be back in just a moment.
Okay. Okay, so this is going to be kind of weird, because I feel like I'm talking to myself. There is a couple on YouTube, actually, that I had come across. Gosh, I can't remember their name. Actually, let me put this on speakerphone so I can. Bear with me. I am going to go to YouTube here. I'm definitely not going to go to Brian's feed, because I don't want to hear myself. So I'll go to my subscriptions here. Oh, where are they at? Subscriptions. Oh, today. Sorry. Oh, where are they at? Okay. Okay, well, there was a couple that I'd come across, and they were talking about the courts of heaven. And, oh, there it is. Okay. I found it. Okay, actually, so it's actually called Courts of Heaven, JCH Online. And this couple had like a 5-day course or something that was free. I think I come across it on Facebook, and it really opened my eyes that we could, as Christians, actually go to the courts of heaven. The Lord's Prayer says, "Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." So we are able to go to heaven, to the courts of heaven, and present our case before God, who is the great judge or whatnot. And then Satan is there to try to come against us. And so we have to have things lined up. But if you go to, it's called Justice in the Courts of Heaven, Releasing Heaven's Justice on the Earth. I am not yet very good at explaining things. My girls will tell me that. So if whoever's listening, or you, Brian, or whatever,
I'm here.
if you have more questions about that, they've got lots of videos on here about the courts of heaven.
Tell us the site again. Matter of fact, I'll put it on the screen.
It's on YouTube. It's called Courts of Heaven.
Okay, hold on a second. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And it'll have JCH, I think, for the little picture on it.
Okay.
But that's what it was. They had a salvation challenge, is what it was. The 5-day salvation challenge. They do that once a month. At least at that point, when I did it, they were doing it once a month. And they went into a very extensive study. And I have to say, I did that, and it was probably 2 years ago. And I'm finally starting to see the evidence of what I took to heaven.
Huh. Okay.
In front of me.
Okay. Cool.
And it is, I don't know, I haven't done it here lately. I need to get back into it, but I used to every night before I went to bed. I would calm myself, close my eyes. I would imagine myself going past the veil and then go into the throne room, because we can do that as well. And just laying prostrate in front of God and just giving him everything and talking to him. And I've had some beautiful moments doing that. So it's definitely something to look into. And that's what I think. God is he was building my foundation. He was preparing me. I don't know 100% sure what for. I know it has something to do with casting out devils. I've told him I wanted to be a soldier in his army, and my husband has told me that he actually does too. He wants to be a warrior for God. So God's got something big planned for us. I don't know what it is, but it's something big. I'm just excited to finally have some breakthrough and see prayers answered, and I don't know.
Good. Good. Amen. Well, I tell you what, you're striking some spiritual nerves there, talking about soldier for Christ and being in his army. And I tell you what, I that was oh man, about I believe it was about a year and a half ago when I went to True North, a men's retreat, and and literally walked with Jesus himself. But I didn't like I walked with Jesus there at the men's retreat a little bit, but then it wasn't until I came back home and went out to my secret spot that that Jesus actually fully walked with me, and and at that point is when he revealed to me some things about what my title was within the army of Christ, and right now it's kind of a personal thing between me and the Lord, and so that's why I'm not putting it out there. But yeah, you're striking some good spiritual nerves there on that subject.
Oh yeah, because I want to be like, I want to see into the spiritual realm. I want to see so I can see. I want to have the faith that I am not scared one bit at whatever I see, and that I can see it and pray against it or whatever, and shoot it with arrows of faith instead of getting shot with the arrows of deceit or whatever.
Amen.
I just want to be full bore, because I know it's getting the end times here, and like I've experienced the love of God, and just I don't know, it's just so much God has done that I see every day. But I want everyone to know about it. I want everyone to experience it. But Satan can really deceive some people. Mm-hmm. However, though, I have learned that sometimes it's God that's put a veil over people's eyes. Because you got to go through some things before you understand really, truly how great God is.
Yeah.
So, and that takes walking with God and learning His voice and learning what's Him, and it can be hard. I thought I was pregnant. I had a dream. Angel came to me, told me I was pregnant. I had another dream with the birthday. I mean, I really thought I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And I went full bore, faith for Christ, Jesus freak. And I didn't care what anybody said. Time come around that, I would have supposedly given birth to said child. And it never happened. And matter of fact, I was looking over my journaling from it, and I had journaled, I must have not heard from you, Ryan, or something. If anything, this will. If anything, the good that has come out from this is that I have come closer to you, to God.
Yeah.
So I didn't allow it to take away my faith in God. Matter of fact, it strengthened it that I really need to evaluate myself and my beliefs and what I believed in, you know, before I could ever continue on with even being a soldier in his army.
Yeah.
So if I don't have a good foundation, I'm not going to be a very good soldier. I will probably be fearful the first time one of those arrows come at me. I'd probably start running.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. So, but anyways, so you're back from the bathroom. Okay, we kind of took off on a rabbit trail there for a few minutes.
That's okay. I was enjoying hearing spiritual perspective from your end.
Yeah. So, yeah. So back to our childhood. I want to try to. I think basically the purpose of this is for part of testimony. We're trying to give a backdrop of what led up to the event we're going to be talking about mainly, like the main part of the testimony. So we're kind of wanting to give. We don't have to tell our whole life story, but
No.
just kind of, giving an idea of what it was like, growing up. I will tell you this: I've heard other stories of growing up that have been so horrific that it has changed me in that into making me feel like, okay, I guess mine wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
The same here. I mean, it doesn't happen very often. I will admit, but I have heard other stories that was definitely far worse than ours. And it's like, whoo, thank you, Lord, that that our childhood was so mild in comparison.
Oh, absolutely. Like, so in the bad, I remember we got accused of things we didn't do all the time. I remember we'd get bad food. I remember we'd have to eat hot peppers. I remember going into convulsions because of said hot peppers, and they had to put me in a tub of ice cold water and have me drink milk to get me out of it.
Yeah.
Which I eventually did. But you remember Sharon and Frank?
Yeah.
How Sharon was? That's basically what happened to me. And I did have that happen to me one time here probably maybe 10 years ago. Just out of the blue, just started crawling up like that.
Oh.
I couldn't move. I don't know what that was or what that was from. But
You said that was 10 years ago when that happened? Oh, see, I had that
crawling up like that.
I had that incident happen when I was 11 or 12, but it was from a overdose of psychotic drugs that Laurel Heights Mental Institution did to me.
And see, that's where I was getting at. And so, see, we both overdosed then. I overdosed on hot pepper stuff, and you overdosed on pain medicine at about the same age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, so, let's see. So, I remember him putting stuff in our food to make it taste bad. I remember you went in the bed all the time and him making you put the dirty underwear on your head.
Yeah, the
and
peed,
that happened to me.
urine-filled underwear.
Yes. And I remember I had an accident one time, and it wasn't even sleeping. I just accidentally peed my pants, and he made me stand outside in the bitter cold with my underwear on top of my head, naked. I don't know for how long, but I remember getting to experience what it was like to be you for one day, and I did not like it one iota.
No, I never knew about that one. Wow.
I don't know. You might have been taken away already at that point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because there was the viewers. I don't think the viewers know that. Which actually, I can't believe I didn't think about that era in my life. I mean, that was such a large era, season in my childhood, that I am just surprised I hadn't thought about that until you brought it up. And that was the 2 years that I spent in the custody of the state of Georgia, because I had gotten so sick and tired of the abuse that I finally I went and told the principal. And of course, I'd have never known to tell the principal if Dad hadn't kept threatening us all the time that don't you dare ever go say anything. If you think the grass is going to be greener on the other side, you just go right ahead. And so he kept us living in fear that things would be so much worse if we ever said anything. But finally, when that incident happened, I I in my childhood, then I finally grew the strength enough because he made me stand there all night long. And of course, this happened many times, but I remember that particular night standing there all night long, holding a chair over my head. And God forbid if I dropped that chair or dropped my arms even the slightest little bit, he was gonna whoop my rear end like something fierce. And so I remember standing there.
Usually had weights or books on it too.
Oh yeah. I actually forgot about that. Yeah, weights or books on the chairs that he would make us hold. Just whatever he could, make us hold, and whatever torment he could come up with. And anyway, that particular night, September 11th, I think it was. Yeah, September 11th of 1993. No, yes, 93. Was it 93? It was 91 or 93. 93. Yeah, because I was returned, I believe, in 95. So September 11th, 1993. No, it was actually the night of September 10th, 1993. I He did what he did, and then made me hold that chair or whatever it was over my head. And I remember standing there all night long, just convincing myself, telling myself, I just kept repeating the same thing over and over and over to myself. I am going to go to school tomorrow, and I am going to tell the principal or somebody what has happened. I'm going to tell them everything that has happened. I'm not I'm not going to keep going through this. And I just kept saying that over and over and over all night long. Must have been 12 hours I stood there, just kept repeating the same sentence over and over and over to myself, convincing myself that I was strong enough to do this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And praise the Lord. That next morning come, I I was responsible for getting Anna to the lunchroom and then to her first class. And so I got her to the lunchroom, and and I told her I'd be back, and I went to the principal's office. Let's see, did I give her to the lunchroom or to the? Yeah, I took her to the lunchroom to have breakfast, and then I went to the principal's office, and I tell you, I cannot believe for the life of me when I told him what had happened, why they took me into state's custody, but left you and Anna in their care. That one blows me away.
Have we never talked about this or something?
Yeah, I vaguely think I remember you saying something about somebody asked you and Anna something, and y'all said no, that it didn't happen or something, that none of the abuse happened.
Yeah, we lied about it because we were scared to death of Dad. And so what my take on it is that they believed that you were crazy, and so that's why they took you away and left us. They took you away, and you told me that you went to foster home after foster home after foster home until they finally put you in a mental institution.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I've always I have always felt bad for you like that, and with things that have happened in the past, like whether you've attempted suicide or whatever it may be, I know that you were getting medicine that you should have never had.
Yeah.
In those mental institutions. And so during those stages in your life, like when you'd make rash decisions or, life was just chaotic, it was because of everything you went through for those 2 years and the medicines that they put in you, it altered, I feel like it altered your brain's way of being able to deal with things and handle things.
Well, yeah, and then, oh my goodness, yeah, those 2 years was no better. They was sheer hell. They was no better than the abuse we took at home.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, I don't even want to go down that road. That was.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, but that part needed to be said, as to, to describe, why things happen as we get older, further on.
Yeah.
And so, I think before that happened in Tennessee, when I was in 4th grade, they did a sex ed class, and which was really too early on. They should have never done that.
A sex ed class in 4th grade.
Mm-hmm. Yep, in Tennessee. Yep. And so that's what started everything for me, being curious about it and all that jazz.
Wow.
But I still kept it to myself for a long time. But, then all that happened with you, I think. Because we moved from Tennessee to Oklahoma, then Oklahoma to Missouri, and then Missouri to Georgia, right?
Let's see, it was Illinois to Tennessee, Tennessee to Missouri, Missouri to Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma to Georgia. Then at that point, I was taken by the state of Georgia, and y'all moved back to Illinois.
Back to Illinois. I was thinking it was that we moved from Missouri to Georgia.
And the viewers are just going to have to forgive me. It might have been. I don't remember. I remember Georgia being the last place, obviously, because that's where I was taken from. Yes. But yeah, the viewers are going to have to forgive me because I'm smoking on camera this one.
Oh. Were you trying not to smoke on camera?
Yeah, I've been trying to quit. I haven't been real successful in it. But yeah, I'm when I do have my downfalls, I do try to take it off camera.
I gotcha.
But and Resto, he went and got him a vape the other day, and I was supposed to go the next day and go look into it myself about getting a vape. I wanted to. I wasn't supposed to, but I wanted to. And I still need to do that. And me and Resto, we're going to kind of, well, if he hasn't caved in himself yet, we're going to try to wean ourselves off of smoking together, kind of be each other's pillar a little bit.
Yeah, just be careful with the vapes, and only in a sense that, only speaking from me, from smoking vapes for probably 3 or 4 years, is that, yeah, it won't be nearly as bad as the cigarettes, what the cigarettes do to you. But I got to a point where I enjoyed doing it because they have so many like amazing flavors, but you can get it without nicotine. That's how I first started, was without nicotine. But then I let Satan deceive me, and then I went to 3, and then I got to the point where I was going through it too fast. So I figured if I upped the nicotine, I wouldn't, go through it so fast. So then I upped it to 6, and that's where I had been at. But I enjoyed smoking. I will say that till the cows come home. I enjoyed vaping a lot. It really did help relieve stress, and I just enjoyed it. So that's why it was hard for me with the deliverance. I claimed it. I claimed it because I knew that it's still bad for you. And our bodies are supposed to be God's temple. So
right. At the same time, in fairness, so that nobody feels the need to condemn themselves over it,
absolutely not.
I do want to add in that it is that the Scripture tells us it's not what goes into a man that defileth the man, but rather what comes out of the man that defileth him. Meaning the words that we speak, what comes out of our mouth, what comes out of our behavior, our actions, that is, what defiles us.
Right. Right. Well, if you find a scripture that tells me I can smoke,
trust me, I have tried to validify reasons, come up with reasons biblically for why I can continue smoking, and ultimately, the truth of the matter is I'm still, I know what the norm of society, how the norm of society thinks, okay? And the norm of society, the orthodox part of society, well, it's wrong for a pastor to smoke a cigarette. Okay. All right. Well, that's not exactly what I read in the Bible. However, what I do read in the Bible is if your brother finds something you're doing offensive, then you're not to do it. Granted, are some of these people our brother? Well, that's a good question. Um, Most brothers and sisters, I don't believe, would actually find offense in my smoking or whatever. They would want to stay away from me, possibly, so that they don't have to smell it or be around it, whatever. But and of course, I would respect people that said, "Hey, I don't want to smoke around me." I would respect them and not have it around them.
Mhm.
Uh, the Bible tells us that anything that grows from the earth is okay for us. But there's two flip sides to that. One, he tells us this. The Bible tells us to stay sober minded. So people want to smoke weed and all this, become unsober minded and say, "Well, it's okay. The Bible says it's okay." No, the Bible doesn't say it's okay. All right.
Mhm.
The other flip side to this is tobacco. Okay. Does tobacco? I believe that it does. Okay. I believe that tobacco automatically has nicotine when it grows from the ground. Okay.
Mhm.
However, these tobacco manufacturers, how many chemicals have they added to the tobacco as they produce these packs of cigarettes?
Mhm.
Does that begin to alter your mind? All them chemicals?
Mhm.
Fortunately and unfortunately, I have realized that yes, tobacco, nicotine, should I say, be more specific, nicotine does actually alter the mind. I When I quit for 3 months, my I was able to learn so much quicker, so much easier. I was able to start putting into practice the things I earned or learned. I was able to there was so many benefits just mentally when I quit.
I can tell you that because that's what's happened to me. I have more energy. I am more focused. Like, it's I don't know. It's like this brain fog has lifted. I don't even know how else to describe it. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. That's how I feel right now.
Okay, so
Okay.
let me go to the bathroom one more time, and then when I come back, let's go ahead and get on to the main focal point. Uh, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's step back for 2 or 3 minutes and breathe. Talk to the Lord. Go to the bathroom. Grab something to drink, and then we'll reconvene here in a couple minutes. Okay.
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 Is that Mom? Hi, Mama. Hi, Pam. Hi, Mom.
Oh, hi, hi, Sarah. I'm sorry. I was over in the kitchen. I didn't expect you to be hollering at me.
I thought I heard your voice. Brian went to the bathroom, so that allowed me to be able to hear you.
Oh, okay. Now I'm fighting with Jane. She doesn't want to go back to her place because Bear has found a way in, and he hides and pops up on her sometimes. I keep telling her,
Aww.
that I'm watching. It's okay.
Yeah.
I've got him to
Yeah.
where he isn't chasing her that I know of, but
Mhm.
cat drama.
Well, I know how I feel because my mama cat and her kittens all got to go on a field trip a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Yes, I gathered them all together and I put them outside for like half an hour. I
Oh
was so
wow.
mad because I gathered them all together and put them outside because I had to clean the living room extensively because they pooped all under the couches.
Oh yeah,
They were
yeah.
not going in the litter box.
How old are they
So
now?
they're 8 weeks now, 8 or 9 weeks.
Okay, as long as you don't have coyotes around or hawks, why we're all right.
No, there's no coyotes, but well, I stayed outside with them. I didn't put them out by themselves, and both their mommy and dad were outside too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, matter of fact, they go run to the driveway and then come run back up on the steps by me.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
and
good.
Underneath me. So,
That's good.
but yes, but we do have owls that like to hang around the grain bin.
You have what that likes
So
to hang around?
owls.
Oh, yeah. I guess they might. Yeah, they might be aggressive towards little things.
Ouch! Yes. Why do cats bite you? I've got
Because
two
they
cats
love
on my
you
bed.
sometimes.
Oh my gosh!
Either that or you reach a tender spot.
I'm not even touching them and they're biting me. Heck, my cat, my orange cat Tubby, I was asleep the other night and he come and bit me probably 10 times during the middle of the night.
Oh no.
Yes, I'm like, I just want to sleep. Why are you biting me? I'm telling you, we do have cat drama for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, he stopped biting me. Maybe we'll be okay for now. He's laying between my legs. Yeesh. Is he still going pee?
Sorry, I had to go pee.
Good thing I put some more toilet paper in there. I saw it was all out. I forgot to put some back in this morning.
Oh, there's a couple rows in there, I see.
Yeah, I just put them in there about 5 minutes ago.
Gotcha. Perfect timing, man.
Yeah.
Did he say that he had to go poop? On live air, he said he had to go poop.
Men and their business. They just have to talk about it.
Nice.
Just like
sure
we
your
talk about
viewers
cats, they
enjoyed
talk
that
about
one.
the poop.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure the viewers like that. Every one of them wanted to hear about that.
Sorry, guys. I just had to go take a dump. I'm really sorry. Oh, my Lord. Something
I'll talk
else.
to you later, Sarah.
All right. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye, sweetie. Well,
All right. Okay, sis.
All right, yeah, we got to kind of cut to the nitty gritty here because I'm going to be calling Troy before he goes to bed for the night.
Gotcha. Did you tell him what you was going to be doing?
No, I haven't talked to him since I talked to you last.
Okay.
So.
All right. So, do you want to start this, or do you want me to?
No, I can start it. I'll just start it. Okay. So let's see. So I'd already said something about sex ed in 4th grade, which started making me curious of things. And then I had sex or health class in high school. So that started making me more curious. And then Dad at 14 was having me helping him on the computer look up porn because I knew how to use computers because of school.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that would be while Mom was at work. And I didn't want to do it, but, I don't know, he'd sweet talk me or something. I don't remember exactly how he got me to do it.
Can I interrupt you for a second and ask you a question?
What?
How often do you remember Dad forcing, and from what age until what age, do you remember Dad making you pull your pants down, your underwear down as well, bending over, and spanking you?
Probably until I was in 8th or 9th grade. Because I was thinking about it a while back, and spanking stopped pretty much when I got a job.
Okay.
Once I got a job, all those stopped because then he just started taking my money.
Ah.
Now, I'd still have to write sentences occasionally or something, but usually anything that I got accused of doing, because to be honest, I felt like I was a good kid.
Yeah.
I hardly ever do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was scared of him, but when I did do something or got accused of doing something I didn't do, once I got a job at like 15, then it was just he'd write it down and I'd have to pay him whatever money he deemed was how much I owed him for that occurrence.
Wow. And okay, so we're kind of sidetracking here, but usually, from what I remember, you only ended up with about maybe $5 out of every check.
I don't ever remember getting any money from any check.
Oh, wow.
No.
Okay, so to stay on track, how often do you remember being forced to become bare butt naked and bent over and getting your butt whooped by Dad?
Well, that was every time. Unless he wet the belt and told us to keep our pants up, and he'd spank us through our jeans to make it hurt worse.
He'd do that for you? He'd let you keep your jeans up with the wet belt?
Yeah.
Oh, he wouldn't do that with me. Oh no, trust me, it hurt a lot worse with a wet belt on bare butt and bare legs and back.
For me, I had it both ways.
Oh.
I mean, it was more so without the pants on, but whenever I'd have my pants on, my jeans,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd do that, it would hurt a lot worse. I don't know why.
Huh.
But it did. I hated it when he'd tell me to do that.
Wow.
It wasn't often, but
yeah.
a few times.
In comparison to how often we actually got whooped, that particular thing didn't happen often.
Right.
In comparison.
Right.
So now,
if
like...
you're trying to... Sorry, go ahead.
What I was getting at, though, and I'm glad we sidetracked there because that was something that needed to be brought out. But in comparison to, like, let's say, because I don't want to put words in your mouth, and that's why I'm wording things the way I am. Like, say, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, how often did you personally receive these type of bare butt whoopings?
Daily.
Okay.
That's what... I never felt like it was anything, that there was ever anything sexual or anything involved, if that's where you're getting at.
No, I wasn't getting at anything. I was just asking the question. To kind of give the viewers a clearer picture of what was going on. Okay.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, so that was daily.
Yeah, and for me, I don't know about you, but for me, not only was it daily, but it was multiple times a day, depending on his mood, depending on how, like if we was in school that day, if it was weekend, summertime, so on and so forth. So.
Well, yeah, I hated summertime.
Yeah.
I loved school for that reason, and work. Like, I didn't care that he was taking my money. I really didn't care. It got me out of there and kept me from getting in trouble. So, take my money. I don't care. I'm out of here.
Right.
It was worth it to me.
Okay, let's get back on track now that we sidetracked you there. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. So I'm going to just be honest with what I remember and what I feel like the Holy Spirit kind of showed me before this when I was praying about it. I was really nervous. But okay, so with of course, being teenagers and stuff, of course, we're getting to that age anyways where you're going to be curious. But it wasn't talked about really in a good way, no matter where we went, whether it was at school or at home. At least for me, at home, my dad's having me look up porn, and then at school, they're teaching me about protective sex and, what sex is all about and blah, blah, blah. And then in fourth grade, that's when in fourth grade, that's when they started talking about your period and explaining to you your organs. So, so that's when the curiosity started. But so through all that, thinking about things over. Okay, so I don't know if you remember this, Brian.
I'm listening.
And I don't know. I remember a time where we would be, we'd be out in the car by ourselves, and they would be in the house, and we would be asleep or something. I remember, like, a time, I don't know if anything ever really happened, but I remember pretending like I was asleep in hopes that you would touch me. I don't know if you remember any of that or not.
I do.
Okay.
I do, so and I remember being able to, I knew that you was pretending to be asleep because I learned how you like how you breathed when you was actually asleep, and how you breathed when you was pretending to be asleep.
Okay.
There was never a time that I touched you when you was actually asleep.
No, I don't think so. No.
No.
Okay, so I remember that, and so then what the Holy Spirit, I feel, revealed to me Let me just say all this out, okay? And then when I say, okay, I'm done, then you say what you remember or whatever, because I have reasonings behind all this, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay. Okay. So, what I feel like the Holy Spirit revealed to me was that I think, and I'm going to PG this. I'm not doing rated R or rated X or anything. But I do think I remember saying that if you did something for me, I would do something for you. And it was just like touchy-wise or whatever. Which the Holy Spirit kind of revealed that to me before this conversation. And I started crying because I guess I had told myself I had blamed everything on either you or Dad. And I didn't see myself as being that way, I guess. So, I don't know if I canceled that out, when that happened. But I remember that when I got questioned and when I started college there, when the detectives came and questioned me about it, I remember that you had gotten in trouble already for that school thing, and you were on probation. And I knew that if you got in trouble on probation, you'd go to prison. So I felt like I was doing the older sisterly thing and saying that I was the one that started everything, so that way you didn't go to prison. And then I remember getting arrested or whatnot. But in my mind, I didn't feel like I had started it. And so I think maybe all these years, that's how I viewed all of it, and then the Holy Spirit revealed to me that, I did say that. So far, that's what I remember. And maybe I need to pray on it some more. I don't know, but if that was the case, obviously it was. Otherwise, God wouldn't have revealed it to me. So I do want to tell you that I'm sorry for that. I don't know. It just sometimes childhood sucks, especially ours. But okay, maybe as you talk more, like it's been here earlier in the conversation, maybe I might remember some more. But so far, that's what was revealed to me. So I'm done. You can go ahead now, unless I can take a potty break real quick.
Yeah. Before you go, though, let me at least say one thing.
Okay.
I'm kind of lost for words at the moment. But thank you. That's about all I can say at the moment. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Go to the bathroom and we'll reconvene when you come back.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Now, I guess as we've realized, how to put that, because I want to make sure that I don't see. Just bear with me, because it takes me a little bit to formulate my words so that I make sure things come out right.
Okay.
All right. So, the first memory of this incident, of these incidents or whatever that I remember, started at MacArthur High School.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that would be correct, for sure.
Okay.
But you never went there, though.
Only for a week for driver's ed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, this whole thing started, or at least according to you at the time, started at the library at MacArthur High School.
See, I've got to think back to that because I just don't remember. I don't remember the library. I remember health class, learning stuff in health class, looking up porn for Dad. But okay, so what about the library are you saying? Because I'm not. You might have to refresh my memory.
Okay, so you came home from high school one day and you told me that you had read a book about how a guy, and viewers, before I go any further, if you have kids listening, if you have kids within earshot, please take them out of earshot now.
Oh, God. Oh, dear Jesus. Oh.
To what?
Oh, sorry.
A dog?
My dog. He has just scared the crud out of me.
I hear him barking.
Yeah, that's because him and the dog next door don't get along. Buster, all right, calm down, okay? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you came to me one day, and hopefully everybody's got their children away from this video. But anyway, and you told me that you had read a book from the school library that day on how a guy jacks off.
Okay.
But I'm guessing you don't remember that.
Not at the moment, no. I don't remember that because I don't remember the library having that. Now, I know that there was a magazine called The Cosmopolitan that girls would bring to school with them sometimes. And I could have read something like that from one of those magazines, but it wouldn't have been in the library. Back then, I don't think they allowed stuff like that in the library.
Well, maybe a friend brought one of them magazines in while you was in the library. Could that have been possible?
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, that could be. But I was in the library, like for study hall or something, and because that's where we did study hall, was the library.
Okay, so maybe I was misunderstood all these years when you came to me and said, from what I remember all these years, that you had read a book that was from the library. Maybe what you had actually said was that you read a book while in the library.
Yeah, it had to been because back then they did not have. There was not those kind of books at school. Like that kind of stuff you didn't learn about unless it was from other kids or, for me, Dad having me look up porn for him. So I don't know. Dad just really just messed me up all the way around.
I hear you.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. But, I also, pain pills really, addictions really cause you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. They also alter your mind, just like you being given medicines that you didn't need in the mental institution altered your mind. So I've forgiven Dad for it. But
I have. I have too. It don't make it any easier to have to rehash it, relive it, and tell the story over and over again, though.
Well, hopefully we can just. Well, okay. The thing is, though, is if we can tell it as a testimony,
right,
then it won't be so. It won't hurt so much, Instead, it'll be like I do my testimony for my previous marriage and going through the custody battle and stuff with with the girls. It was rough, but now I can say it with giving somebody hope. Even though they sound real bad, in the end, it was basically Romans 8:28. God will work everything for good, or work everything for good according to those that love Him, or something like that.
Exactly.
So, but anyways, back to the library.
Okay, so you came home that day and told me that that you had read a book from the library, and as we've determined that maybe you had said while in the library. Okay, so it's a great possibility I've had it wrong all these years. Okay, so we'll clarify that. But carrying on, the way I perceived it all these years is how I'm going to continue to tell the story for the meantime. Okay, thank you. And so you came home, said that, And at that point, I had never even once, ever thought about girls in that sense. All right. And I'm like, no. I forgot to finish that other thought. You came home from school and you said you had read a book from or at the library, whatever, uh, about how a guy jacks off, and you wanted to know if you could show me. And I'm like, ugh.
Now that I can believe that maybe I did that.
Okay.
Because I know I did that with Anna. So I can believe that I might have done that. Yeah.
Thank you for your boldness.
You're welcome. I don't remember it, but knowing that I did that with Anna, then it's apparent that obviously I did it. Why would I do with one and not the other?
Okay.
Because.
Well, I really didn't see this going this way. I really seen me and you in a war on this video, to be honest. I did not see this going this way.
I told you that Tennessee really changed my life. The whole deliverance thing.
Wow. Okay. All right. So let me carry on. So you wanted to show me, and I never thought about women in that sense, girls in that sense, whatever, And I'm like, no. And I don't remember if anything else happened that night as far as anything being said. I know nothing happened that night. I don't remember if anything else was said, if you tried to convince me anymore or any of that. I don't remember. But what I do remember is for literally 2 weeks after that, every night for 2 weeks after that, you'd come home and basically say the exact same thing. That, oh, come on, just, let you show me, and it'd feel so good, and that type of thing. And I kept saying no, but finally, after about 2 weeks, I began to get curious. I did honestly begin to get curious. I'm like, okay. But another thing that I have to point out is somewhere around the same time, which actually I think it was around the exact same time as this happened, like maybe within a few weeks, maybe even a couple months or a few weeks. But I had been waking up every morning with a stiff, uh, a stiffness.
A Woody.
A Woody. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I remember it hurting excruciatingly bad every morning for the first hour I was awake. And finally, after, I think it was months, after months and months of this going on, I finally caught my mom in the kitchen cooking one day, and I said, "Mom," I whispered to her, I said, "I've got a problem." "What's that?" "I think I need to go to the hospital." "What?"
I'm sorry. That's kind of funny.
I know.
Oh, goodness.
I know. I mean, yeah, it's this particular part of it is funny outside of everything else. It is. Yeah. But this is what I did. I was like, "Mom, I think I need to go to the hospital." And why? Why, son? What's going on? What's going on? I said, "Well, and I kind of explained it to her the best I could, and she just started laughing hysterically at me. I was so
just
mad.
Like I did.
Oh, except 10 times more. Oh, she just started just dying laughing. And I'm like, what? Like, I was mad at that point. Why is my mother laughing at me? So anyway, she just basically said, "Oh, son, You're going to be just fine, I promise you. That was about what I remember of that particular point of it.
That was it? You don't remember her telling you anything else?
No,
Like
no, she
why or
didn't.
anything?
No, she just told me I would be just fine, and it was probably told me it was nothing to worry about or something. Who knows? But no, she didn't. She didn't go into anything. She didn't tell me nothing. She just laughed at me and, no, son, you'll be just fine.
You know, as parents, that's one of those awkward. It's an awkward subject to talk about. You know, and back when we were kids, and when our parents were kids, you know, they considered that taboo. You know, we didn't. So kids had to figure it out on their own, and unfortunately, you learn from other places instead of your parents. That's why we've tried to talk ourselves to our kids about it.
Right.
So that way, they're not having to go try to figure out from someone else what it is, because what happened with us is the reason why. You know, that's one of the big reasons why that happened, is because our parents would not talk to us about it, because they were either nervous, embarrassed, scared, or whatever, you know. Do you know that my landlords, when I first got married, the place we moved into, the landlords there, because I had to tell them, you know, because it was an apartment and it was like a half, so we lived above them. I had to tell them about my past. In order to live there. And you know that the wife told me that that was okay, that when she was a child, that her and her siblings did the same thing.
Wow.
And I was just like, really? And she said, oh yeah, it's, you know, that's just how it happened, you know, because we were curious. And I'm telling you, when she told me that, it freed a lot inside of me. I was just like, okay, so, you know, so that's kind of like a normal thing, I guess, if, you know, your parents don't tell you. I mean, you're going to experience, you're going to experiment one way or another with whomever when you have raging hormones like that.
Unfortunately.
Yes, so we just kind of...
Yeah, even Grandma Roberta told me a story years ago when I was a teenager. She told me a story of stuff that happened between her and her brother.
Yes. Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, it does actually. It is a much more normal occurrence than people realize.
And you know what? You know what just occurred to me when you said that? When you said that right there, you know, this all has to come back to deliverance. There's a scripture in the Old Testament that talked about the sins of the fathers going down to the third and fourth generations, blah, 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 however it was. Well, in that deliverance, listen to Pastor Craig Locke, you know, when they do the mass deliverance, that's one of them, is breaking family curses.
Yeah.
So I believe, now that you say that, I believe that was a family curse that we had.
Yeah.
With that.
Good possibility.
And to be honest, it's there's something that's happened amongst my kids that weren't, you know, with each other or anything like that. But, you know, because I'm not going to put their information out there, but there's something that has happened with them that I would imagine would have been part of the generational curse, because I didn't know anything about generational curses really or whatnot, but that could be a thing. So now that we're talking, I'm realizing it. I do believe we were the main reason is because we were under a curse. We were under a curse.
Yeah.
Wow.
I do want to pause for a second and point out to all the viewers that we are not at all saying that what happened between us is right.
Absolutely not.
By any means. No. What happened with us was definitely sinful. It was definitely wrong. It should have never happened.
No.
We're just here telling our story at this point.
But we were also kids. We were 13, 14 years old.
Right.
You know, so we were brought up with a dad that was basically shoving God down our throat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't explain to us important life matters.
Yeah.
You know, it was all the Bible, the Bible, the Bible, the Bible, scripture, scripture, scripture. Like, the one I remember is Proverbs 4:20 through 22, and I'll never forget it. So, I mean, I look at it as if there's some good that's come from it. That scripture right there, I've known since childhood because of my dad, and I think it was his favorite scripture.
John 8:32 was the one I remember from childhood, from him.
Yeah, see, so, I mean, he definitely succeeded in doing that. So, I mean, there is good that came from it. But he still planted the seed, but he just did it. He wasn't a loving father. He didn't display the love of God like he should have.
No, he'd want to. Do you remember him going for hours on end, 10, sometimes 8, 10, 12 hours, literally preaching at us and not shutting up? And God forbid if we even so much as look like we rolled our eyes. Oh, good grief.
Or falling asleep or anything like that.
Or yawning. If we even yawned.
Oh. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. I definitely remember that. I remember all that. Yeah. So is there anything else that you remember then, or is that what you...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I remember a lot.
It's about to get real.
Yeah, I remember a lot.
Just don't be explicit.
If you've noticed, I've tried not to be. I mean,
yeah.
Normally I'm a free-spirited, free-talking type of person. As long as it's not in sin, I don't have much of a filter. But if you've noticed, this particular conversation, I have tried to filter it a little bit.
Yeah.
So, okay, so carrying on. So finally at the 2-week mark, right? I think it was like, I want to say it was literally the 14th day since the original time you came home from school like that, that I finally gave in. And I'm like, yeah, show me. And you did.
So how I remember, for lack of better terms or whatnot, a facial part was used. I don't remember a hand.
You might be right. I mean, I do remember both. I just don't know which happened first.
Yeah, see, all I remember is the facial. So, I'm not saying either or. It very well possibly could have been. I mean, obviously, as we've been talking, there's been things that I haven't remembered. So, I mean, obviously you remember it vividly. So,
well,
I'm assuming it happened.
Well, I'm a guy, and for guys, having such a label over their head is much, much different than.
Oh yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah, than for a woman to have it. For a woman to have that label, it's actually pretty socially acceptable, and guys even they're more intrigued with the woman and want to be with the woman even more. But for a guy, they have that label. It doesn't matter what the circumstances was. Doesn't matter what the truth is. Doesn't matter even if they weren't guilty. They're going to be dealt with the same way I've been dealt with many times over the years of my life, being beat down by gangs and left for dead multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I never had anything to that extent, but I've never had anything positive come out from it. I can tell you that. It's always been a negative foreshadow on me. I've never had a guy say, oh, that sounds sexy. Let me get with you. I've never had that, ever.
Like I've watched, I've seen some videos in past years where, like, a school teacher was either found guilty or pled guilty to having sex with one of her young students.
Yeah.
And the video proceeds, and then you see a man going up to her front door at her house, and they start on this one that I remember. This guy found out somehow through the sex offender registry that this woman was on sex offender list.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him going to her house, knocking on her door. At first, I probably was thinking, "Oh boy, this ain't gonna be good." No, not at all. It wasn't even like that. No, he starts saying, starts talking about her charge or whatever. And he's like, "Man, I got so turned on by that. Like, I don't believe that you really, I don't know if you really did that or not. And it doesn't really matter if you did or you didn't. But man, I've had my eye on you for a while. And seeing this, I feel so sorry for you. Would you want to go out to dinner with me? That type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly what the video. I don't remember the video to any kind of T, but I remember it was something along them lines. God forbid, though, if it was a male teacher that did that to a young girl.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there ain't even going to be no questions asked. There ain't going to be no, are you guilty? Are you innocent?
Nope.
There's not going to be any trying to find out the truth. None of this.
No.
It's just going to be, you got that label, you deserve to die.
Yep.
Point blank.
Actually, there is someone in Troy's family the same thing happened to.
Oh?
And, yeah, he ended up having to move from where he lived at because his neighbor would say that an offender lives here and was just very vile.
Oh,
and
man.
Never even gave him a chance.
Yeah. That's the way I've been dealt all my life. There's never been any, well, let me reword that. There's been a few people in my life, over the course of my life, that, there's been more than a few, actually, that have actually gotten to know the truth. And the reason that I start to say there hasn't been any people is because the people that didn't want the truth made a much harder impact on my life, than the ones that did want to know the truth. And then once they found out the truth and looked at the facts, then they were okay. And they were like, okay, all right, I see what's going on here. So on.
Right.
Oh, anyway. Where did I last leave off at?
You last left off at I showed you. And then I said what I remembered, and you said you remembered both.
Yeah, okay, yes, thank you. Yes, I remember both. I don't remember in which order. I thought I remembered the order, but really sitting here thinking about it, and especially with you having said that, I don't guess I do remember the order. I thought all this time that the initial thing was with the hand. So I'm trying to PG this, but basically caressing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
caressing me. Oh boy.
But you know what? Nowadays, in this world now, I don't think anyone would find any problem with any of that, especially with the different genders and the oh gosh, where you can say that your identification.
Yeah.
That you identify as such and such and such and such. Because I just found out that you can identify as a cat, and in the schoolrooms, in some schools, they have litter boxes for you to go over and go poop in.
Isn't that crazy?
As a cat. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm telling you, if this had happened right now, and we were the age we were, and this happened right now, nothing probably would ever happen at all.
Well, truth be told, nothing would ever happen at all anyway. If it hadn't been for how Dad handled it, but we're not at that point yet.
Yeah, because the lawyer that I had, he told me, and then I had officers tell me. I had several people tell me that at that time frame is when all this very first started coming out, and because of Most Wanted and the Wash guy, it was made into this big old thing, and so basically they were prosecuting anyone and everyone. And so I got told that I got caught in the vortex, or that we got caught in the vortex, and that we should never been charged with anything.
Oh yeah.
Whatsoever.
Well, and I mean we're putting a horse before the cart here, but also I ended up finding out years later that my attorney had 30 days to file one particular piece of paperwork. And if he would have filed that paperwork, I would have never had to register once I was 18. And he didn't do it.
Really?
Yeah. But past that 30-day mark, I had to do it because he didn't file it.
Yep.
So, over the course of the next 6 months, or I don't know, maybe 4 months, this, what was it called? Discovery and exploration. That's what it is. Discovery, discovery and exploration is what it's called when children are learning this stuff between themselves. So I say
if you think about it, we were close enough in age. I mean, we were only a year apart, so we were close enough in age that, I mean, I would think, that we'd kind of be going through it together.
Right.
Even though, you said you hadn't thought of anything that way yet, which I tend to want to believe that now, thinking about things, because you were taken away from us for 2 years. So, I mean, you really weren't in a school setting for those 2 years. You were in a mental institute, so...
Oh, I was still in a school setting.
Even at the mental institute?
Yeah.
Okay, but was it among normal kids, or...
Well, it was among other kids that was drugged as well.
Okay, so see, and that could be another reason why you never thought that way or hadn't thought that way, is because the drugs had altered your mind.
And possibly. I never really thought of things in that sense, I guess.
That's what I think, because normally a kid your age, or the age that you were when all this happened, would have already been thinking about it and, been acting on it or something. So, and I think that's a year ago, I think that's where everybody went, when you said that, you hadn't even thought about that.
Uh-huh.
I think that's where their minds went, and they were like, oh, whatever, you're full of it. There's no way, because either they experienced it or they know someone else, it's just typical, it's usually the stages of manhood. I mean,
so you're saying that from your knowledge, a boy usually starts thinking along sexual lines at first at what age?
Probably 11, 12, 13. It just depends, but yeah.
Okay, so if that really is true, and most boys begins thinking about that at that age, okay, now I can understand why people would think that I was lying when I said I had never once had a thought about girls in that manner.
Yes. That's why I'm saying what I am. Is that that's what I.
Well, the other thing too that we've kind of failed to think about too is you didn't have to go through this, and neither did Anna. But for 2 years, I went through homeschooling, and that was during my middle school years. So I wasn't around other kids during that time. I wasn't. I didn't get to be around girls. So that probably had some sort of play in it too, as to why I never had those type of thoughts about girls.
When was that? Because I remember 7th grade, or 6th grade, my bad, 6th grade in Missouri, which, you know what? That timeline all fits together. You're right. Because I was in 6th grade doing homeschooling in Joplin, Missouri. And I did it for a few months. And I remember that I had to stay home, but instead of doing homeschooling, I was playing chess with Dad all day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was... Yeah,
but that was the only time I remember doing homeschooling. And then we moved to Georgia and then Illinois.
Now, what was the reason that he did that? Homeschooled you for? Was just to play chess?
I don't think it was just to play chess. I think they had discovered something about school or whatnot, and so he just homeschooled me for like half a year, I think.
But he didn't homeschool me and Anna?
I don't think so. I really don't think so, because I don't remember you guys being home.
Huh.
I mean, he could have, but I mean, I don't remember it. You would have been in 5th grade. And
I think I'd have remembered that myself. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. When I was in 5th grade, I was in the state of Georgia. So
then maybe it was 4th grade.
was I around when you was homeschooled?
Yeah, it was when we lived in Missouri.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
So I say it was part of 6th grade, and then we moved to Georgia. You know, but I don't remember staying in any state longer than a year.
Yeah, I don't think we ever did until finally moving back to Illinois after. Yeah. I mean, we stayed at the very first place that we lived at in our life until I was 8 years old. And then from that point on, we just moved from state to state and town to town within each of those states. Until I was taken by the state of Georgia, at which point y'all moved back to Illinois, and I did my next 2 years in the state of Georgia, and then came back to Illinois. And then at that point, I think I was, I was taken at 11. I came back when I was 13, and we stayed there until, well, basically 17, and then the moving started all over again once me and you had moved out of the house.
Right.
16 or 17.
Well, let me give you an example of how drugs can affect your mind like that. You know, just as an example, just in case there's someone out there that's like, yeah, whatever, I don't believe it. Okay, I have a nephew. He is going to be 21. He has a mentality probably around Brianna's age, finally about 17, 18. He was diagnosed with cancer when he was like 1 year old or whatever, and went through chemo and radiation. And so it stunted his growth. It changed the way that his mind thinks. Like, he doesn't have any emotions. Like, he doesn't understand what love means. I mean, he's just, all messed up. And then he was around the wrong people as he started to age, which caused him to do things that he should have never done. Kind of along the lines of our past. So, I mean, he is a tall tale example of how medicine, certain meds, can just alter you. I mean, it's proven. So I think that's what people need. I think people are quick to snap to judgment instead of taking the time to actually understand someone, understand where they're coming from, you know, and that's myself included. You know, and I've been trying to work on it. You know, I've even had that happen to me. So, you know, and I will say that I've always said that about you, though. If someone's like, you know, been judgmental towards you or whatever, you know, but that's what I've always said is that, you know, you had those 2 years where you were just being pumped full of meds that you didn't need. I know you didn't need them beyond a shadow of a doubt, because you were trying to stick up for us and protect us. At least that's how I viewed it. Whether or not you were just doing it to despite Dad or what, but I viewed it as you were trying to stick up for us as a brother.
I thought they would take us all and put us all in a different place together, is what I thought when I did it.
Yeah. See, and that's what I also tell people is that, you know, you were trying to be a big brother back then and protect us, and we betrayed you basically because we were scared.
Well, he was also, you know, he was 12 years old. Anna was 9 at that time. Or no, she was 8. Yeah. No. She was 7. Because I was 11. So she would have been 7. Yeah, so so she was 7 years old. You were 12 years old. Well, I mean, of course she was going to be scared you wasn't going to. I mean, you didn't have the experience that I had, and you didn't have that 12 hours, would it give or take, that I had standing there all night long, convincing myself that I would be strong and courageous and bold, and do what needed to be done.
Right, right. I'd never had that up until I was 17 and moved out.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's when I felt like I got betrayed by mom, not dad.
Oh.
Yeah, mom knows. I've talked to mom about it, but you know, the manager at TJ Maxx told me I could move in with them, and you know, I was like, okay. You know, so I got home from work or whatever, school, whatever it was, and told dad I was moving out. He's like, all right. He said, but you're not moving out until your mom comes home and you tell her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. You know, I'm thinking, well, that's a piece of cake, you know.
Yeah.
Then mom comes home from work or whatnot, and I tell her, oh man, she went off on me. I mean, she never hit me or anything, but her words, man, it broke my heart.
Oh, man.
She was the one person that I looked up to.
But she wasn't. In her defense, though, she was at work so much of the time that she really didn't understand what was going on at home.
Right. And or she might have felt like, you know, I was betraying her by leaving her there.
Yep. True.
Know, and I had a way to get out, and she didn't.
Yeah, because up until that point, Dad was still being very, very abusive to her.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't until I finally, I think about 6 months or a year later, when I finally stood up to him. He told me one day to bend over and drop my drawers and bend over. That was it. I couldn't take it no more. And I just stood up, just bold as a lion. I said, no. He looked at me all bug-eyed. I mean, eyes about to pop out of his sockets. He goes, boy, I told you to drop them drawers and bend your blankety blank over. And I just stood up, or I just puffed my chest out, and I said no. Make me.
Yeah.
And boy, I remember he just shut up. He's sitting in that chair. I remember it was in the kitchen. He was sitting at his chair, and I don't remember if he went to stand up and he just froze or what he did. But I just remember he didn't know how to react. He didn't know what to say, how to react. I just caught him completely off guard. It was at that point.
Us,
huh?
Go ahead. Sorry. I was just gonna say with us as being girls, you know, a man always has, you know, like that authority or whatnot, you know, because they're bigger and stronger than women. So, you know, a girl's always gonna be fearful.
Right.
When it comes to that, the way he was. So yeah.
But you know what the crazy part is he stopped beating on our mother after that, and he stopped beating on Anna too for the longest time. And I think there was a short season after I moved out that he did whoop on her even harder. Once she was the only one left, and so she got the full force of everything. But then at some point, right before he died, if I understood Anna right, everything got real good there before he died. But he certainly stopped beating on Mama after I stood up to him like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And the last about 4 or 5 years of Mom's marriage to him, I was relatively peaceful in comparison to the first 15, 16 years, you know, because I mean, I know at some point, I don't really remember how or when or what the circumstances was. I do remember at some point, I told him that he was going to stop beating on Mom or I was going to take him out.
Right.
And I wouldn't, like, of course, at that point in my life, I had never really been in a fight in my life, and I was just being a wolf in sheep's clothing. I was too scared to actually do anything.
Right.
Yeah. I meant well in my heart, and in my heart, I meant it. I would take him out if I seen him hitting my mom again or pulling her by her hair or doing any of that nonsense, slapping her around and blah, blah, blah. In my heart, I would have killed him. I'd have took him out. Would I have actually done it? I don't know. I don't. I would have actually had to have had probably a gun or a gun on me or a ball bat in my hand at the precise moment I seen him do the physical harm, and then maybe in that moment I would have reacted just out of out of just instinct without thinking in the heat of the moment. But if I'd have had
Right.
any time to think, even a second to think, I'd have been too scared to do it because, like I said, I'd never been in a fight in my life. I had been bullied all my life, beaten all my life, and never knew how to stand up for myself.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's one good thing that did come out of that whole thing was
Oh
mom
yeah.
didn't have to contend with the beatings anymore. But anyway,
Yeah.
I let's get back on track because I really want to finish this up. But I mean, it has to be finished. But I want to get it finished as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Um, I where did I leave off on the actual main topic?
Um. Let's see. You were saying for the next 2 weeks or 2 months there was like exploration
Oh,
and discovery or something.
okay. It was like around about. I'm gonna guess. I'm guessing because I don't really remember the time frames. Nowhere near precisely.
Mhm.
So I have to point that out so people don't think I'm lying if it somehow comes out or I later say a different time frame because that's the one part of this story I like. You'll never hear my story be any different than it is today. The only thing that you would maybe hear different is the timelines of stuff. Because I just don't remember. Anyway, I'm
Well,
gonna
yeah,
say,
because you're pretty much saying the same thing you did last year, and I wasn't ready. I took offense, and you know.
well, and you were
Anywho,
scared.
but
You wasn't used to being as bold as I am.
yeah.
I get it. I'm not mad at you over it. Like I said, I let it go and I just gave you your space and let you, until you was able to get to where you needed to be yourself.
Mhm.
Anyway, so about I'm gonna say about 4 months went by with this discovery and exploration. Oh, and this is where the story takes a major twist. And
Yeah, because I have no idea what you're about ready to say. I have no clue.
you remember, well, of course you do because you asked me earlier if I remember Frank and Sharon. Okay, so you
Oh, okay, okay. I think you're going to talk about a blanket. That's all I remember at this exact given point at Frank and Sharon's and a blanket.
yeah. Um, something you said a little bit ago about how you had dealt with Anna kind of confirmed some things to me too. Well, not really. It just I don't know, just reconfirmed it or something. I don't. Anyway, shut up, Brian. Um,
Okay, all
yeah,
right, shut up, Brian.
yeah, that was just me talking to myself for a second. Call me crazy.
Mm.
Um, okay, so Frank and Sharon, they was on Social Security, and at some point they was living at that trailer park. That's what it was. Okay, and then they had moved from that trailer park and moved into a an apartment. They had lived in that trailer park all their lot, or all the as far as I could remember, for as long as I could remember,
Mhm.
until there when all that stuff started happening with me and you and everything. And they had been at this apartment for a month or two. Dad took me and you and Anna over to Frank and Sharon's apartment,
Mhm.
and I remember me and you sitting on the couch with a blanket over us, and we was doing the discovery and exploration stuff.
Mhm.
Dad was somewhere in another room with Frank doing something, fixing a sink in his apartment or something. I don't. He was doing something for Frank, and it put him
Yeah.
out of sight. I don't remember where Anna was at first. I don't remember her in the picture, but what I do remember is while the blanket is over me and you, Anna coming in, and we just kind of stopped moving, basically, me and you, whoever was doing whatever in the discovery and exploration that particular day. I don't remember who was doing what, but I do remember neither me or you moved a muscle. When Anna says, "I know what you're doing under there," and the the first thought in my mind was, "Sure you do. If you only really knew." And of course, that thought didn't last, but for about half a second to a second, as she proceeded to say, "And I want in on it, or I'm going to tell Dad."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Huh?" No, I'm like, "What do you think we're doing? What do you think we're doing?" And I forget the wording she used, but she spelled it out. Oh, and that's how Anna got brought into it. For me, at the time, Dad always made fun of the Amish, but at the same time, he had preached so much to us. So by him making fun of the Amish, we had an understanding of how the Amish lived. Okay, so to me, at that age, it wasn't the making fun of the Amish that stuck in my mind. It was what stuck in my mind was how the Amish lived.
Yeah.
So then the other thing is all the preaching and all the preaching about Adam and Eve's day and how they had to do blah, blah, blah in order to generate the earth with their brothers and sisters as it was taught to us.
Yeah.
In my mind at that age, it was like, okay, I had to do a quick analysis. We already know from track record, from years and years of track record, from, birth on up to that point, Dad was going to beat our rear end for any little thing, didn't matter what it was. Yeah. And I certainly didn't want my butt beat, you know. And and so I'm like, okay. And as I'm processing that, I didn't want my rear end beat off.
Yeah.
I was also processing the thoughts of the Amish, Adam and Eve's generation. And so, me and you, whatever, I don't know how let me just stop for a second. In my mind, the conclusion that I came to as to how Anna knew about it, because I've never known for sure how Anna knew anything, because I certainly never told her.
Right.
And the only conclusion that I have ever been able to come up with is that, well, you and Anna shared a bedroom. I didn't share a bedroom with y'all. And I knew that you used a hairbrush for certain reasons, Yeah.
Smack you.
Okay, well, the only conclusion I could come to is that at some point you must have approached Anna and y'all must have done something prior to Anna coming to us like that.
Yeah, that would explain it. It'd have to.
Okay. You don't really remember it though, because I want to be fair here. I don't want to put you out on the spot. I don't want to make you.
I remember with me and Anna. I just don't remember Frank's.
Okay, so you do remember you and Anna doing stuff before all three of us ended up doing the discovery and exploration then.
Yeah, one time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that finally gives me, that allows me to close the door, actually.
I thought I had told you that, honestly.
No.
I thought I had.
No, you never told me that. I never knew for sure. I could only speculate.
Yeah, it was just, to me, it was innocent. I wanted her I had honestly, 4th grade when they did the sex education class, made me be curious of myself down there. And I remember being in the bathtub and I was cleaning myself and it felt good and something happened. And from there on, it was just like, it happened more and more and more. And I learned myself more and more and more. And I just wanted, in my innocent brain, I just wanted her to know about it. about this wonderful feeling you could have. I just wanted her to know about it.
Okay.
So yeah, I know I did that.
Okay.
For 100% sure.
Wow. Well, you sure gave me some closure on that one. I got to say thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But 20, 25 years of 20 or 25 years, something like that. I've always wondered about that. Wow.
Oh, wow. Oh, I swore I told you about that.
No, I
Because
never.
whenever I've talked to anybody else about it, that's always been part of my story.
I never knew.
That was because it's even in the papers. Like I have one document, I think, of the original papers of our charges, and that was on there. Was one charge for me against me was one charge of her, and then I had one or two charges of you. Because in essence, I should have been the only one getting charged for anything. Because I told the officers that I was the one that started everything. So why you got charged for anything is beyond me.
Well, because for you got charged with two counts. I got charged with one count. I mean, the original paperwork read differently than this, but in the end picture, what had happened was you got charged with two counts. I got charged with one count. Anna didn't get charged with anything. The only but the reason you got charged with two counts was you got charged for one count on me, one count on Anna.
Yeah.
I got charged with one count on Anna. The only reason that Anna did not get charged with anything is simply because she was the youngest. Otherwise, she would have been charged as well. And why she wasn't charged, even though she was the youngest, I don't really know, because what they charged us with, and honestly, I don't see how they could charge us, now that I'm thinking about it, with what they charged us with, because now that I think about it, because in the end picture, on a legal sense, I'm not justifying anything here. I'm not trying to make anything sound like it was okay. Nothing at all like that. Please don't nobody misunderstand me. What we did was wrong, absolutely 100%. Okay. On a legal stance, though, the thing that we did that was illegal was incestual acts. But I got to point out that there was never actually any penetration. As far as there was never any actual sex between any of us, but it was still incestuous acts, which was illegal. But that's not what we was charged with. So how does that make any sense?
I know. It doesn't.
That was the only thing illegal that we did, but that's not what we was charged with.
No, like I said, I think it was, like everyone has told us, is that's when they were first starting coming out with those laws, and we just got caught in the vortex of it.
Yeah. So, how old was you when you first remember this stuff happening in your recollection?
Okay, that I remember
Any of this?
Me showing you guys, or me with myself?
No, the discovery and exploration. Now, not to do with yourself.
I just remember. I remember one incident with Anna on Hunt Street. Like I can picture that. I can picture the two interactions with me and you. One sitting in front of the bathroom. I was sitting on that chest type thing when you were coming out of the bathroom, and then in the back room.
Dude, what?
That was two occurrences there, and then I remember the car. And that's it. So I don't know. I think maybe 13, 14. I don't know.
I know you wasn't 13, because that would have made me 12, and I know for a fact that
Were you still in Georgia at that time?
Huh? No. How could I be in Georgia if we was doing the discovery and exploration?
I'm talking about 12, when you were 12.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, yeah, good point. Because I was still in Georgia at 12 years old, so I know that it wasn't when you was 13, because I didn't return back home until I was 13. until I was
Yeah.
13. So you'd have been 14
So
at that
I've been
point.
14. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But all that stuff didn't start happening right away.
Right.
It
No.
took about I want to say a year from the time that I came back from Georgia for all that to start happening.
Yeah.
So that maybe even a year and a half. I think in the paperwork it showed that Anna was 11 years old when it happened, which would have made me 15 and you 16. Well, yeah, yeah, because I would. Wait a minute, boy, that kind of. Yeah, because when I finally told Dad, yeah, you was in college at that point. So yeah, and I know you graduated high school a little early, and so was able to go off to college. But yeah, you was 16. I was 15. Anna was 11.
I remember stuff happening all the way up until I got a job. Once I got a job, I don't remember any more happening because I was at work or I was at school, then at work, and then came home to go to bed. And I started working at 15. I don't know if it was like 15 and a half or what it was, but I'd go to school, go to work, and then come home and go to bed.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was something that we, did for like several years or something.
No. It was around about 6 months was about the time frame from the first initial until it was brought to an end. Which we'll get to how it was brought to an end here in a minute after we take a small recess and go to the bathroom because I'm about to burst. Okay, but when I come back, because I really just want this to be over with. And so when I come back, if I forget, I want to pick back up with how it came to an end. How it came to an end. Okay. Okay. All right. I'll be back in 2 minutes or something.
Okay.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, how are you? Huh?
I'm actually doing better than I thought I would.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Although I probably should have took a potty break with Brian, but he said we're almost done, so I'll hold it. But he takes a lot of potty breaks.
Well, he drinks a lot of coffee, don't you know?
Well, I had like 10 cups of coffee yesterday, and I don't think I've still gone to the bathroom as much as he does.
He goes to the bathroom 9,655,000 times a day.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know whether it's that much or not.
To see you actually freaking took the time to time him one day.
I have no idea. I just know that he goes to the bathroom every 30 minutes, every hour or something. He's got some good kidneys.
Oh, yeah. I think well, you know what, though, Pam? I think that all has to do with our childhood, because we'd have to hold the bathroom standing in the corner or whatever. We wouldn't be allowed to go to the bathroom. So I think our dad messed us up.
Kind of sounds like it did. I've been listening to you guys for the last 2 hours.
Oh, that's nice.
On my computer.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
I get bits and pieces of it, then I go back and I sit there and say, okay, I don't want to hear no more.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Trust me.
I gotcha. I didn't think it'd take this long, but I guess it is.
Well,
my family
after all this time, like you said, after all this time, things needed to be worked out.
Yes. So, that way we can all be free.
Yep, that's what it's almost all about. So.
Yeah, and I mean, to think about it now, I mean, it sounds trivial as to, what happened a year ago. Like, I just don't understand why I don't know why I got so upset the way I did.
Things happen.
Yeah. I think just got thrown off guard.
Yep.
But I prayed before this, like my mom said, and I really have to say that deliverance was the
just like
main thing.
Mr. Locke says, people have to forgive things and go on with their life too.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, you can't have healing or full deliverance or anything until you've put that stuff behind you, until you've forgiven, and that happened Sunday when I was there.
Yeah, he told me that.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, just going through this, I really. Sorry. Go ahead.
I said, I guess Brian's back. I was just letting y'all talk.
Oh, I was just gonna say, going through this, I really am realizing a lot did happen on Sunday. A lot more than I thought.
Well, you sit there and explain some things to me, and I sit there and looked up all them things that you sent me yesterday.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
Good. Well, if we could all keep talking about, going there or something, trying to figure something out.
Well, I want to go there.
Yes.
Talking
yes,
about
that would be.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I was telling Mom I wanted to go.
I want to go see him. But he's also supposed to be here. He's also, they said he had another, he was opening up, he was going somewhere else too. And I can't figure out where that was at.
He does travel a lot, evangelizing.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there's something about going to his church, though. I just can't. I don't. It was just amazing, and I didn't go for him because I've learned not to elevate the minister. I went for the glory of God, for the revival, for what I saw, the fruits of his ministry, and I mean, it was amazing. I just, words can't describe it. Like I said, I got my daughter back. We're going through this right now, and it's a freeing process. There's no condemnation that I'm feeling like before. So I don't know. It's amazing. That's why I want you guys to go. I want everybody to go, or my prayer is that what is being started there will be spread throughout the country, and you don't have to go just specifically to his church, but that you can go, places close to you and experience the same thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I think Brian wants to finish up.
Yeah. All right.
He was going to talk about the closing. So, thanks for saying hi. No
problem. Thanks for being there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I wanted to talk about how it all came to an end.
Yeah.
So, at some point, you moved away, and then you went off to college.
Yes.
You moved away. You moved in with the Roaches while you were still in high school. I think. How long was you at the Roaches before you went to college?
Maybe 2 or 3 months. Actually, it might have only been like 2 months.
Now, I was thinking it was just a short time. All right. Mm-hmm. So then after that, you went off to college, and you was 16 when you went to college, right?
17.
Oh, you were 17 when you went, or when everything came to a head?
That was 17 when I went to college. I turned 17 my senior year. I went half a day, half a year my senior year. And so then the January of the following year, of me being 17, is when I enrolled at the college in Lincoln and started going there.
You enrolled when?
The winter of my 17-year-old year, whatever, however you want to say that.
Gotcha.
It was 2000. 2000.
Okay. 2000. Actually, you sure it was in 2000? Because I could have sworn you had moved out of the house right before Y2K.
Yeah, I had moved out right before then.
So that would have been in
So,
99.
yeah, I moved out in 99. Probably like October or November of 99.
Okay.
And then started going to college January of 2000.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And you was about how many months had you went to college before you got kicked out of college?
Oh, I never got kicked out. I got put on probation, but I never got kicked out of college.
Well, what caused you to stop going to college then?
I met my ex.
I'd always I thought that I had heard that because of the charges they kicked you out.
No, absolutely not. I was actually, my psychology professor was my counselor because I had to go through counseling as part of the sentencing or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And so I went to him while I was going to college. I went to him for counseling.
Huh.
And
Did they kick
hated
you
it.
out of the dorms because of it or anything?
No.
Huh. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I've had that part wrong all these years then.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway. So, all right. So, do you remember while you was at college coming home from time to time and visiting?
The only time I remember coming home, because I would come home, well, I'd come back to Decatur really just to visit John. But I only remember coming home twice.
I remember his last name as you said that.
You just remembered it?
Yeah. Do you I mean, you don't need to say it, but do you remember his last name?
Yeah, he had two of them.
Oh, well, I didn't know that part. But okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I
But,
thought that was just kind of a side deal. It just popped in my head. Sorry.
yeah, you're all right. You're all right. But
Anyway.
no, I would come home on the weekends to see him, but I still didn't want anything to do with Dad. And I think he got a hold of me for a family picture or something, and I finally agreed that I would do that. So I remember doing the family picture, and then I remember one other time coming home, and he found out that I had been smoking or whatnot. It made me smoke a whole pack of cigarettes in front of him.
While you were home from college?
Yeah, when I came home one time, yeah.
Wow.
He made me smoke a whole package of cigarettes in front of him because he was trying to get me to quit or whatever.
I remember, I remember that happening. I thought that was while you were still in high school before you moved out, though. I didn't know it was after you'd moved out and was in college.
Well, I mean, you could be right, but I mean, I don't think so. I think it was after I'd moved out.
Huh. Okay.
Because if I remember correctly, I was thinking, why am I doing this? I don't even live here anymore. Why am I doing this? You know.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't remember coming home any more than that because, you know, I was going to see John.
Well, and that's just it. Yeah. See, John, I mean, not himself, but John kind of had a role to play in this to some extent. Not like literally, but he actually did have a little bit of a role to play in this. All right.
Oh.
Do you not remember coming home from college and being in the in the bedroom, the game room, with me?
Coming home from college?
Yeah, on like a spring break or something, or some sort of you was weekend break or something.
It would have had to have been the weekend if I did, because week of evangelism was like spring break, and that's when we went on our missions trip.
Okay, so you don't remember being in the game room with me? I believe it was just me and you. Whenever you came back from, or I guess on a weekend trip then.
Not when I was in college, because when I moved out of the Roaches, you know, at that point I didn't have anything to do with Dad, and I was in the process of divorcing my parents, so I didn't come home.
Divorcing your parents?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, trying to get
Yeah.
what's that?
Emancipated.
Emancipated. Did you ever get emancipated?
No.
Okay.
No.
Uh,
I never went through with it, but I was in the process of it. So, I mean, I don't remember coming home very much at all
well, you
after I
did.
moved out.
You did at least 2 times, I believe 3 actually. I'm pretty certain it
Yeah,
was
so
at least
say,
3 times.
I remember 2. I remember coming home twice.
Okay, and
But,
both of those times we were at some point during your visit, we were in that game room by ourselves.
mm,
But you don't. I guess you don't recall that.
yeah. Uh-uh.
Okay.
No,
Well,
I don't, because I was engaged to John.
right.
So,
I know you. Yeah. So let me. Let's go ahead and move on so we can get this over with. So,
yeah.
what I remember happening at least twice, but I think it was 3 times. I think the third time was when I finally had enough, but it might have been twice, and maybe it was the second time when I had had enough. I don't know. But regardless, each time you came and you wanted me to show you my junk,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "What? Why? You're in college. You got a boyfriend? Well, I want to compare it to the size of my boyfriend's."
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the first
Oh,
time you did
wow.
it, maybe even the second, I was like, "No, no, we got to get." I was starting to get a conscience about me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting to kind of like realize, I didn't understand why. I didn't have a clue why it was bothering me, but I knew that my
Yeah.
conscience was bothering me, and that I had to put
Mm-hmm.
a stop to it. And so I told you no. Maybe I don't know if I no. You know what? Now that I think about it, well, I tell you what, I think I just had a recollection. I think the first time I actually did, and then I don't remember though, honestly. Anyway, I know that second or third time, the last time that you came home and we was in that game room by ourselves, and you did that. I said no. Well, then you left. You went back to college, and at some point, like things had been going good for a short while with me and Dad. I don't. I knew better. I knew better. I knew better. But for some reason, in my young 15-year-old mind,
Mind, yeah.
and now that I know now that I kind of have an understanding for narcissism and empaths, I also understand that something in there had to do with the empath, the empathetic type of heart. I don't know, and that empath within my heart isn't why I went to my dad, but it's why I thought I could trust him. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
And so I asked my dad, I said, or our dad, I said, look, I need to talk to you about something. Can we go for a drive? Well, sure. So I said, so we went for a drive and we're driving through the country. It's just me and him. And I said, Dad, I got to tell you something, but I need you to promise me, God is your witness, that you will not punish me for what I'm about to tell you. And you will never tell a single soul. His response was, well, I gotta tell your mom, I don't keep nothing from her. Yeah, right. He kept a lot from her. I'd come to find out in later
Mm-hmm.
years, but whatever. That's beside the point. But this is what he said, nonetheless. I don't keep nothing from her, so I got to tell her. Past that, I won't tell nobody. I said, give me the family pact in it. You won't say nothing to nobody. Well, do you remember what the family pack was?
Me?
Yeah, do you remember what the family pack was?
No, I never knew we had a family pack.
Well, yeah. Using the Lord as our witness. God is my witness.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, we have our own family pack here. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I told him, I said, I need you to tell me, God is your witness, that you won't punish me and you won't tell anybody other than mom. Okay, God is my witness. I won't punish you. I won't tell anybody else other than your mom.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I laid it all out on the table, metaphorically. And I told him
Yeah.
everything. everything that had happened, everything
Yeah.
between me and you, everything between me, you, and Anna, the whole nine. Told him everything. And anyway, I don't remember anything past that as far as how things went after that. Until the next time that me and him got into a physical altercation. At which point, during this point in time of life, do you remember how many times he put me in the psych ward of St. Mary's Hospital?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember hearing about it because I wasn't really around.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think I was around when all that happened with the school.
Okay.
I just remember hearing about it.
All right. Well, he would have me admitted into St. Mary's Psych Ward. They'd turn around and they'd be like, they'd hold on to me for a couple weeks, evaluate me, blah blah blah, and they'd be like, okay, well, he's all good. There's no reason for us to keep him, blah blah blah, and they'd send me back home. Well, he would when every time that I would stand up for myself and stand up to him, he would call the police, and I guess there was something about when you call the police on your child or something, you can have them at least temporarily detained every single time without question at the St. Mary's Psych Ward for whatever specified period of time was the max limit, unless they found reason to keep the child. So this happened a lot. Every time I'd stand up to him and stand my ground, he'd have me thrown in the psych ward. Well, we was carrying on. I think it'd been about 2 months or so since I had last stood up to him, and he tried some. I don't remember what he did, but he tried something. And it might even been the time I threw all the TVs and everything at him. Might have been actually. That might have been the incident. He came in one morning and dumped a 5-gallon bucket of ice cold water, literally filled with ice and water, on me to wake me up because of something that he claimed I did the night before, and he was still mad at me for it, and so he did that. And I just shot up out of that bed when he did that, boy. I mean, tell you, and I was screaming and cursing, and well, anyway, he left, locked me out there in that bedroom/game room, and I couldn't get out. I couldn't come in the house to even use the bathroom. About maybe 10, 20 minutes later, he comes back out with another 5-gallon bucket filled full of ice and water. And while I'm awake, doused me again with it.
Oh my gosh.
In the process of all this, I don't remember how everything played out that day. But I remember at some point he come back out there a third time, and I was ready for him that third time. I wasn't letting him. It wasn't happening. So when I heard that door start to open, I grabbed me a TV up off the table. As soon as he come showing himself around there, I chunked that TV at him. Grabbed the next TV, chunked it at him. Grabbed the VCR, chunked it at him. The game consoles, every one of the game consoles started chunking it at him. Anything that I could grab a hold of, I was chunking at him. And he's like trying to ward it off. And I don't know if anything actually connected with him, or if he was able to dodge everything or what. I don't remember. But then I grabbed a hold of a floor lamp, a big tall floor lamp, because he was still trying to come at me at that point, and I swung that lamp at him, and he grabbed that lamp, and we wrestled with it. We both holding on to it, and he got me down on the bed, and anyway, so whatever happened through all that, he put me in. He had me admitted again into the psych ward, and the next day after I was admitted in the psych ward, the police show up, and they arrested me for the sexual stuff.
That's.
And I would come to find out later on long story short, Dad was mad at me because I was standing up for myself, standing up to him, And that was his act of revenge against me for standing up to him. And that's how it come about to all this playing out.
Yeah.
And well, then I don't know how things played out on your end because you was out on your own at that point, living at college. I never really got to hear anything about it. All I know is what happened on my end, which was that I'm 15, 16, 15, fixing to go on 16. No, I think I was about 3 months before my 16th birthday at this point. Maybe
Yeah.
4 months. I don't remember. Maybe 6 months. I don't remember. I was somewhere around 15 at this point. Had been close to 16. Anyway, at this point, I'm no longer at St. Mary's Mental Hospital. I'm not in jail anymore. Originally, I did 30 days in juvie jail on it, over it.
Oh my gosh, for real?
Yeah, did 30 days in juvie jail over it.
Man.
Uh-huh.
Well, that makes my one night nothing.
Yeah, and juvie jail is a lot worse than adult jail, too, actually. Crazy enough.
Wow.
But anyway, so 30 days in juvie jail, blah, 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 get out. Life carries on. I'm living back at home. And Dad, when it come time for one of the court dates, Dad said, I'm not going to keep taking you back to court, back and forth to court on this stuff. You're going to plead guilty to this court date, and that's that. That's final. I'm like 15, 16 years old. What am I going to do? I ain't got no wheels. I can't go nowhere. And of course, at that point, he doesn't let me get out of the house. So I certainly wasn't going to be able to get to court. And at that age, I don't know anything about the legal system. I don't know,
Yep.
Not a
You were
clue.
16 and I was 17 and I didn't know either. I had no idea. I spoke the truth and said I started it all, and so they arrested me. So I will never forget that night. I'll never forget it. It was horrific. It was one of the most horrific nights of my life.
I can imagine.
But, yeah, because I'm at a Christian college, trying to better my life and stuff, and here I am sitting in jail.
Yeah.
I had no idea they were going to do that to me. I was devastated. But, I don't know where I was going with that, but.
I don't know. Well, anyway, so that's how all that played out. And so, long and short, Dad made me plead guilty to it.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
And so I did. And they put me on the sex offender list and gave me 6 months court supervision or probation, one of the two, I don't remember. Or wait a minute, was it 6 months? Yeah, 6 months. 6 months court supervision. Oh, and they 6 months court supervision, 10 years on the sex offender list, and I was supposed to go to Lincoln's Challenge, and if I didn't graduate Lincoln's Challenge, I was supposed to went to jail. Well, I didn't graduate Lincoln Challenge, but for some reason I never had to go to jail. I never did understand that one. But so when I got out of Lincoln's Challenge, I went and lived with Aunt Margot and her husband for a little while, about a month or less, 3 weeks or something, and then came back home. Wasn't home very long when I had had enough, and I decided that's it. Enough is enough. I moved out on my own. I literally lived in Frank Kuffner's backyard in his Econoline van during the dead of winter with snow on the ground and everything.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, taking like green bean cans, ripping up paper, putting in the green bean can, lighting it on fire, and putting my hands over it just to try to stay warm. And then eventually, Uncle Ken helped me to get into a house and helped me to get the Social Security check away from my dad, our dad, and then that way I could start surviving. And somehow or another, I don't know how it all came about. Somehow or another, I completed probation and all that, blah blah blah. And then, so years go by. I do what I'm supposed to do. Blah blah blah. Lot happens. La di da. I get gang beat many times over the years because of the label over my head. I stomped to the ground, left for dead. You name it. It happened. Whatever. Imprisoned many times over it. Whatever. And the reason I was in prison was because I was homeless and didn't have anywhere to register. Well, anyway, then during one of my times of incarceration, I'm researching. I mean, just digging in, and I find out about the paper that my attorney could have filed when I was a juvenile. If he had filed it within 30 days, I wouldn't have ever had to register again past my 18th birthday. But because he didn't file it, it was too late. And I tried to do something about it. I even ended up trying to file petitions for executive clemency with the Prisoner Review Board and the governor's office and all that. And that was back when Ron Blagojevich had done all his nonsense. So then my petition got just lost for years and years after that. And then eventually the new governor finally did hear it. But by that point, there was so many petitions for executive clemency on his desk from the years that Blagojevich just didn't do anything with them, that he just skimmed right past mine, didn't even read mine or anything, and just denied it on the spot. Yeah. Anyway, so then we carry on to 2017 or 18. What year was it? What year was it when I made some good money and came to Illinois? Was that in 17 or 18? I think it was 18.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was 18. Wait a minute, it was 17.
Was it?
Because Troy's dad was dying. Remember? You came down.
Yeah, but there was a separate trip after that or before that or something. In the meantime, there was a separate trip after that. Yeah, because me and Vicky was down there for that. But then when I came back down, I was by myself. I just came alone. Anyway, it doesn't matter when it was. 2017, 2018, either way, it doesn't matter. So then at that point, I drive to Illinois, and this is where I'm going to turn the conversation over to you, and I'm going to let you take over and tell what happened with the lawyers from your perspective.
Oh, after that trip when you came down with the money or whatever?
Well, start with the trip itself, with, talk about how I drove down there, and then from that point, what happened.
Okay. Well, let's see. We talked about, trying to get off the list. And you had actually come across some money or whatnot. I don't remember how, but...
Sold some property.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, yeah, we set up meetings to talk to the attorneys and stuff, and we went and met with them or whatever. And basically, long story short, is because you had incidences, not necessarily your fault, where you ended up going to prison or jail, and I didn't. He was able to get me off the list and said that you had to go a certain amount of years without getting in trouble or whatnot before they could get you off.
Okay. Well, so from so now my viewpoint of it. So I drove to Illinois. I hired an attorney in Illinois for both me and my sister here.
Yeah.
Two separate. It was two separate things, two separate fees, two separate cases.
Yep.
I paid for her and I paid for myself to get off of that list for the attorney to get us off. The attorney told me that I had to do something, go to a couple of classes or something, and some sort of evaluation or something. Huh?
Yeah, because it was counseling. Yeah, because I did the same thing.
Yeah, and that once I did that he would be able to get me off. off of that list. Well, then in the meantime of all that, my ex-wife starts in pulling her nonsense. And so I never got to make it back to Illinois again. Meanwhile, Sarah is able to do everything that she was supposed to do because she lived right there in Illinois, and it all had to be done in Illinois because that's where all the, where it was, where the county was that it happened out of. Right. And so anyway, being she was right there in the state, there on the spot, able to do everything, everything went fine for her, and I actually didn't know for a while that her deal was settled, but anyway, that's beside the point.
Well, yeah, because I think I probably felt really bad. That it had went through and yours hadn't. So I wasn't about to call you and gloat. There was no way.
Right. And then, of course, do what?
I said I couldn't bring myself to do.
Right. And then, of course, the attorney took my money for my case and applied it towards yours.
I didn't realize he did that. I don't think he did that because I still owe him like $5,000.
You're the one that told me he did it. It took you like 2 years after you got off to tell me that. You told me yourself that is what happened.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Well, I'll have to look it over again or call and ask, but because I still owe about $5,000.
Wow.
For it. And I haven't been able to pay it yet.
Right. So anyway, to wrap it all up, long story short here is, and in the middle of all of this nonsense over the years, come to find out that 6 months before we were sentenced, the sex offender laws changed. And when it come time for my 10 years to be up, that's when I found out, actually, right at the 10-year mark. When it come time for it to be up, I don't get to get off of it because 6 months before I was sentenced, sex offender laws changed, and apparently the judge didn't even know about the new laws. But anybody that goes on that list automatically is on for life. Automatically life. If they go on that list, it's automatically for life.
So doesn't matter if you're juvenile or not.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if you're juvenile. Doesn't matter what. Yep. and so here we were, both me and Sarah. We've been going through this for 10 years at that point. Finally excited we was going to get out from under that label after 10 years. And we both find out around the same time that no, this is going to be a lifetime thing. Yep. Well, anyway, so then I sell that property, come up with thousands of dollars to be able to take to Illinois and hire this attorney. Attorney did a great job for my sister Sarah here. Meanwhile, everything happened with my ex-wife, and so because of all that with the ex-wife, I never got to get back to Illinois. And then in the end picture, my money was used and applied towards Sarah's case. I lost all my money, and I've never had the opportunity to go back at it again. But Sarah is she no longer has to register, hasn't had to register now for about 5 years, 6 years maybe. But praise the Lord, because I moved to Oklahoma, and this is part of why I moved to Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a state that if you was convicted as a juvenile, you register one time with juvenile affairs just to let them know you're in the state, and then you never have to register again. Even if you move, you don't have to register again. And so that's why I live here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Whew. Well,
that was a big old long. That was almost 4 hours worth there, dear brother.
I know. I'm looking up at the timestamp right now at 3 hours, 46 minutes, 35 seconds.
Yeah, my family's been like, how much longer are you going to be for? And Troy's probably already went to sleep.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Well, let's go ahead and conclude this then, and you can get on to calling Troy, and I can get on with trying to enjoy a more peaceful atmosphere. And I'll, whatever, I'm telling these stories like I did stories yesterday. about my life. I'm doing this story today about my life because it is my calling to put everything out there, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the in between, so that folks that go through any particular thing, they don't have to feel alone. Okay. My next videos will probably be on suicide attempts, all the suicide attempts I've done over the course of my life. But and then when all, anyway. So that's that. But for now, we're going to go ahead and conclude this. Sis, I love you. Thank you so much. When you get done talking to your husband, and when you get settled back in, if you would call me, where me and you can just talk privately, at that point, I would be grateful.
Okay.
Okay.
I can do that.
Awesome. Much love, sis, and thank you so much for doing it. For coming on here and keeping it real.
Okay. You're welcome, dear. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk after a bit.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
I am emotionally drained, exhausted, spent. I appreciate y'all. Please give us a thumbs up on your way out, or a thumbs down if that's your prerogative. Brent, if you're still listening, I know I read your stuff earlier, but we was talking so much that I wasn't able to respond. Plus, my sister wanted me not to respond because she didn't want to feel the pressure of remembering that we was live on air. She knew it was live on air. She wanted it to be that way, but she didn't want the pressure of it. And so she basically asked me not to read any comments during the conversation. So I do apologize for that. Hopefully tomorrow I'll go get a vape and get back on track with trying to quit again. We'll see what happens with that. Anyway, I'm going to conclude this video now, and I will be back live as part of the 24/7 live feed, but more than likely it'll just be the normal broadcasting with the peaceful music, family-friendly Christian environment to socialize and get to know one another, so on and so forth. So I will have that stream back up and live within about 5 minutes of ending this stream. Good night, goodbye from this stream, and God bless. Sorry, I'm kind of emotionally spent and exhausted right now. So, all right, I'll see y'all on the next stream. 5 minutes, and I should be up and going.